Confidence is not something you are born with. It is something you build every day through action, choice, and self-discipline. This audiobook will guide you step by step to become the kind of confident person who takes control of their life, makes decisions without hesitation, and faces challenges without doubt. You will learn how to strengthen your mind, manage fear, and take bold action even when you feel uncertain. Every chapter is designed to give you practical tools you can apply immediately. You will discover how to master your habits, control your thoughts, communicate clearly, and build resilience that lasts. This isn't about pretending to be confident or faking it in front of others. It's about developing real inner strength that shows up in everything you do. By listening, you will learn how to take responsibility for your life, speak your truth, set boundaries without guilt, and act with purpose and clarity. You will see how small, consistent actions add up to a level of confidence that changes how you move through the world. Each principle is straightforward, actionable, and tested in real life. If you are ready to stop doubting yourself, stop letting fear control your decisions, and start building unstoppable confidence, this audiobook will show you exactly how to do it. By the end, you will have the tools, mindset, and strategies to face any challenge, speak up with authority, and live every day with strength, clarity, and purpose. Chapter 1. Build unshakable belief in yourself through daily discipline. Building unshakable belief in yourself doesn't happen overnight. It's not a burst of motivation that fades after a few good days. It's something you earn through the quiet, consistent act of discipline. Real confidence doesn't come from saying, "I believe in myself." It comes from doing the things that prove you can trust yourself. Every single day, your actions shape what you believe about who you are and what you're capable of. If you show up for yourself consistently, even in small ways, you begin to build evidence that you are reliable, that your word matters, and that you are capable of more than you think. The foundation of unshakable belief starts with how you treat your own commitments. Most people break promises to themselves far more often than they realize. They set goals, make plans, and then negotiate their way out of them the moment things get hard. Each time that happens, a part of their self-trust weakens. Over time, that inner voice that once said, "You can do this," begins to sound less convincing. The only way to rebuild that voice is through action, by doing what you said you would do regardless of how you feel in the moment. Daily discipline is how you remind yourself that you're in control. It doesn't have to be dramatic or extreme. It's built through small, deliberate actions. Waking up when you said you would, exercising when you don't feel like it, staying focused when your mind wants distraction. These may seem like small choices, but they shape your character. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you send a message to yourself, "I can count on me." That's how belief is built, not through words, but through evidence. When you rely only on motivation, you set yourself up for inconsistency. Motivation is temporary. It comes and goes with your emotions. Discipline is stable. It shows up whether you feel ready or not. When you build your days around disciplined actions, you stop waiting to feel confident. You start doing the things that make confidence inevitable. Confidence isn't a personality trait. It's a skill, one that grows stronger the more you practice doing what needs to be done despite discomfort or doubt. If you look at the most confident people in the world, you'll notice something. Their belief in themselves didn't come from luck or talent. It came from discipline. They built their strength through repetition, through showing up again and again, even when nobody was watching. They learned to trust the process instead of chasing perfection. Confidence becomes natural when discipline becomes your default. You don't have to convince yourself that you're capable. You know it because you've proven it daily through effort. Self-belief also grows when you stop relying on external validation. When you live for approval, your confidence becomes fragile. The opinions of others start to control your emotions, your actions, and even your sense of worth. But when your confidence is built on discipline, it's rooted in something solid, your own work ethic. You don't need anyone to tell you you're doing well, because you know what you've done to earn your progress. That kind of confidence can't be shaken by judgment or failure. It's internal, not borrowed. The truth is, discipline is rarely comfortable. It asks you to do the opposite of what feels easy. It forces you to confront laziness, distraction, fear, and excuses. But that's where growth happens. Every time you resist the urge to take the easy way out, you become stronger. Each moment of resistance builds a deeper sense of belief, because you're proving that you have control over your impulses. Over time, the hard things become easier, not because they change, but because you change. You don't need to start with something huge. The best way to develop daily discipline is through small, consistent steps. Choose one area of your life where you can apply structure, maybe your morning routine, your health habits, or your focus at work. Start by making one promise to yourself and keeping it. Do it again the next day, then again. Eventually that one small habit becomes part of who you are. You no longer have to fight yourself to follow through. That's the power of discipline. It turns effort into identity. Most people underestimate the importance of structure. They think freedom means doing whatever they want, whenever they want. But real freedom comes from self-control. When your mind is disciplined, you gain freedom from chaos. You stop being controlled by procrastination, mood swings, and distractions. You gain the power to direct your time, energy, and focus toward what truly matters. That's what it means to be free, not to escape effort, but to master it. Another key part of building unshakable belief is how you handle setbacks. Everyone faces failure, but disciplined people use it differently. Instead of letting failure destroy their confidence, they use it as feedback. They ask, "What can I learn from this?" Every mistake becomes a lesson that makes them wiser. The undisciplined mind sees failure as proof that it's not good enough. The disciplined mind sees failure as a step toward mastery. When you think this way, no obstacle can truly stop you. It can only teach you. Belief in yourself also depends on how you talk to yourself. If your inner dialogue is filled with doubt, you'll always hesitate. But self-belief grows when your inner voice becomes supportive and firm, not emotional or harsh. That voice is shaped by what you do daily. If you consistently avoid your responsibilities, your self-talk becomes full of guilt and regret. But if you consistently show up, that same voice becomes a source of strength. It reminds you of the work you've done and the progress you've earned. Self-discipline and self-belief are connected in a cycle. The more disciplined you become, the more belief you build. The more belief you build, the more disciplined you can be. Over time, this cycle creates a level of inner strength that's difficult to shake. You stop being easily discouraged because you know you've faced challenges before and handled them. You develop quiet confidence, not loud, not forced, but calm and certain. It's important to understand that daily discipline isn't about punishment. It's not about being hard on yourself or chasing perfection. It's about alignment, making your actions match your values and goals. When what you say, think, and do are in harmony, your mind feels clear and focused. You stop wasting energy on guilt or confusion. Every day becomes simpler because your direction is set. That clarity alone can transform your confidence because it removes the noise of indecision. To practice daily discipline effectively, you need consistency more than intensity. Doing something small every day is more powerful than doing something huge once in a while. Consistency creates rhythm, and rhythm creates stability. When your days have structure, you stop living reactively. You stop depending on random bursts of motivation or emotion to get things done. Your energy becomes predictable and steady because your routine supports you. That's what makes discipline sustainable. It becomes part of your life, not a temporary effort. You will have days when you feel tired, unmotivated, or frustrated. That's part of the process. The mistake most people make is assuming that discipline means never feeling resistance. In truth, discipline means doing what needs to be done despite the resistance. Every day you push through that feeling, you strengthen your belief that you are in control. You start to realize that your emotions don't dictate your actions, your decisions do. That understanding is what separates people who succeed from those who only dream. Building unshakable belief in yourself also requires patience. Many people give up too quickly because they expect fast results. But discipline works like compound interest. It grows quietly, then suddenly shows visible results. The effort you put in today might not pay off immediately, but it's never wasted. Every disciplined choice builds momentum. When you look back after months or years of steady progress, you'll realize how far you've come. Confidence grows in those moments, when you recognize that you created your own transformation through consistent effort. Self-belief is not arrogance or pride. It's not about thinking you're better than others. It's about knowing your worth and trusting your ability to handle life. It's quiet, steady, and humble. True confidence doesn't need attention. It's self-assured because it's built on evidence. When you rely on daily discipline, you never have to fake confidence. You've earned it through effort and experience. Another powerful way to strengthen your self-belief is by setting small goals and following through on them relentlessly. Each completed task becomes proof that you can rely on yourself. Over time, these small wins create momentum. You begin to believe that you can take on bigger challenges. It's not the size of the goal that matters most, but the consistency of action behind it. The key is to build a pattern of success that trains your mind to expect progress instead of failure. Discipline also teaches emotional control. When you live without structure, your emotions run your life. You react to everything, stress, fear, disappointment, instead of responding with clarity. But when you train yourself to stick to routines, make plans, and stay consistent, you gain emotional stability. You begin to trust yourself in chaos because you've practiced calm through repetition. That's one of the most powerful outcomes of discipline. You stop being easily shaken by external circumstances. To build belief, you also need to eliminate the habits that weaken your self-trust. Procrastination, excuses, and inconsistency all send the wrong message to your mind. They tell you that you can't rely on yourself. The more you indulge them, the more your belief fades. The way to break those habits isn't through shame, but through structure. Replace bad habits with better ones. Plan your days with intention. Set boundaries with yourself. Decide what matters most and commit to doing it even when it's uncomfortable. That's how you regain your self-respect. You'll notice that the more disciplined you become, the simpler life feels. Not easier, but clearer. You stop being pulled in 100 directions. You stop wasting time on things that don't align with your goals. You stop seeking shortcuts. There's peace in discipline because it removes confusion. You know what you need to do, and you do it. That simplicity creates power, a sense of control that fuels your confidence in every area of life. The person you become through discipline is not just more confident, they're more reliable, more focused, and more respected. Others can sense when someone is grounded in self-trust. It shows in how you walk, how you speak, and how you make decisions. You don't need to convince anyone that you're confident. It's visible in your consistency. That's what makes disciplined people magnetic. They carry a calm, quiet power that doesn't need validation. Over time, your self-belief becomes unshakable because it's no longer based on outcomes. You stop defining yourself by wins or losses. You define yourself by effort. You know that whatever happens, you'll show up and give your best. That kind of belief can't be taken away because it's built on something no one can control but you, your daily actions. When you live with discipline, you stop chasing confidence. You become it. You start each day knowing that you have the power to shape it. You don't depend on luck or circumstance. You depend on yourself. That's where true freedom lies, in the realization that your progress is in your hands. Building unshakable belief in yourself is not about doing everything perfectly. It's about being consistent enough to trust that you can handle whatever comes your way. It's about making peace with imperfection, staying patient with growth, and refusing to quit when progress feels slow. Each small, disciplined choice builds the foundation of a stronger, calmer, more capable version of you. In the end, the most powerful belief you can have is simple. I will do what I said I would do. When that becomes your standard, your confidence becomes unshakable, because no matter what happens around you, you'll always know that you can rely on yourself. And that's the kind of belief that transforms everything. Chapter 2. Face every fear until it loses its control. Fear loses its power the moment you stop running from it. Every fear that controls you survives because you feed it with avoidance, hesitation, and excuses. The only way to destroy fear is to face it, again and again, until it realizes you are no longer afraid to feel afraid. Growth begins the moment you stop treating fear as something to escape and start treating it as something to master. You can't build confidence while protecting your comfort. You build it by walking directly into the things that make your heart race, your hands shake, and your thoughts doubt. Every human being carries fears, fear of failure, rejection, loss, change, or judgment. These fears often disguise themselves as caution or logic, convincing you that staying safe is the smart choice. But safety is not always peace. Sometimes it's just a slow form of regret. When you stay inside the walls fear builds around you, life becomes smaller. Opportunities pass by, not because you lack talent, but because you let discomfort make your decisions. The truth is, fear doesn't disappear with time. It grows stronger every time you obey it. Facing fear is not about eliminating it completely. That's impossible. It's about reducing its control over you. The first step is awareness. You must be brutally honest about what you're afraid of and why. Many people never look deeply enough to see that their fear isn't about the situation. It's about the meaning they attach to it. You might not fear speaking in public itself. You fear what people will think of you if you fail. You might not fear change. You fear losing the sense of control you've built around your routine. Once you understand what your fear is truly about, it loses its mystery. And when something is no longer mysterious, it becomes manageable. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward despite it. The people who seem fearless aren't made of something different. They simply act faster than their doubts. They've trained themselves to lean into discomfort instead of negotiating with it. Each time they face what scares them, the fear becomes smaller, the mind becomes stronger, and life opens up a little more. That's how courage grows. Through repetition, through exposure, through the daily decision to not let fear dictate your next step. The problem is that fear often speaks in the language of logic. It tells you to wait for the right time, to be more prepared, or to think it through. But fear doesn't care about timing, it cares about control. If you wait for the perfect moment to act, you'll wait forever. The truth is, every moment of hesitation makes fear more believable. The longer you think about doing something, the more reasons your mind will invent to stop you. The only way to weaken fear is to act before it multiplies. Start small. You don't have to confront your biggest fear immediately. Begin with something that stretches you slightly beyond your comfort zone. Speak up in a meeting. Say what you've been avoiding. Try something new even if you don't feel ready. Each time you act against fear, you create evidence that it can be defeated. That evidence becomes fuel for the next challenge. Eventually, your mind begins to associate fear not with paralysis, but with growth. Facing fear also requires changing your relationship with failure. Most fear is rooted in the belief that failing means the end of respect, opportunity, or self-worth. But failure is never final unless you decide it is. Every person who has achieved greatness has failed more times than they can count. What separates them is their refusal to let fear of failure stop them from trying. They understand that every failure is a lesson in disguise, a necessary part of becoming stronger. Once you truly accept that, fear loses its biggest weapon, the illusion of catastrophe. You'll notice that most fears are mental, not physical. They exist in your thoughts long before anything happens in reality. The body might react, heart racing, palms sweating, but those sensations are simply signs of your system preparing for action. When you learn to see fear as energy instead of danger, you gain control. You can channel that energy into focus, movement, and power. Fear is a signal, not a stop sign. It's your mind saying, "This matters." One of the strongest ways to face fear is to visualize the cost of not changing. Imagine where your life will be if you continue to let fear decide what you do and what you avoid. Picture the opportunities you'll never take, the dreams you'll bury, the version of yourself you'll never meet. That image should disturb you enough to act. Because while fear may protect you from discomfort, it also protects you from progress. At some point, the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of facing fear, and that's when real transformation begins. You can also disarm fear by naming it aloud. Silence gives fear strength. Expression weakens it. When you say, "I'm afraid of this," it stops being a shadow in your mind and becomes something you can confront. Writing down your fears, talking about them, or even acknowledging them privately removes the false power they hold. Once you see fear clearly, you realize it's often smaller than it felt. Facing fear repeatedly rewires your brain. The first time you confront something scary, your body and mind react strongly. But with each repetition, your brain learns that you survived, that the danger wasn't fatal, and that you're capable of handling more than you thought. This process, known as desensitization, is how people transform fear into familiarity. What once terrified you becomes normal through exposure. That's why consistency is key. If you face fear once and retreat, it grows back stronger. But if you face it over and over, it eventually loses its grip. Fear thrives in imagination, but dies in action. When you act, you move from uncertainty to clarity. Even if the result isn't perfect, the simple act of doing removes the power of what if. Fear feeds on indecision, but action starves it. That's why momentum is your best weapon. Don't wait for courage to appear before moving. Move first, and courage will follow. One of the most liberating truths about fear is that everyone feels it, no matter how confident they seem. The difference lies in how they respond. Some freeze, others move forward. Some let fear define their identity, while others use it as a compass. In fact, the things that scare you most often point toward the areas of your greatest growth. If something consistently triggers fear, it's usually because it matters deeply to you. The dream that makes you anxious is often the one that can change your life. It's also important to remember that fear can't be conquered through thinking alone. You can't reason your way out of it. You have to experience it. You have to take the risk, make the call, have the conversation, start the project. Each direct encounter builds resilience. The more you face, the more control you gain. Eventually, fear transforms from an obstacle into a signal, a sign that you're heading in the right direction. Every person who has ever achieved something meaningful has walked through fear. They weren't superhuman. They simply refused to surrender to hesitation. They accepted that fear is part of the process. They acted despite shaking hands and pounding hearts. And that's what separates the bold from the average. Not talent, not luck, but courage in motion. If you truly want to live with freedom, you must face fear daily. Do the thing you've been putting off. Speak up when it matters. Try what scares you. With each act of courage, you build self-respect. You begin to see yourself differently. Not as someone controlled by fear, but as someone guided by purpose, and that shift changes everything. You won't wake up one day fearless, but you will wake up one day stronger, calmer, and more certain, because you faced every fear that tried to control you, and refused to back down. That's how mastery is built. Fear doesn't vanish, it becomes irrelevant. You learn to move through it with clarity and conviction. You become someone who no longer waits for courage. You create it, and once you reach that point, nothing external can control you again. Chapter 3. Speak your truth even when your voice shakes. Your life begins to change the moment you stop silencing yourself. Speaking your truth, even when your voice shakes, is one of the most powerful acts of courage you can ever practice. It's not just about being heard, it's about standing in your authenticity without fear of rejection, judgment, or misunderstanding. When you speak your truth, you declare to the world that your thoughts, feelings, and experiences matter. You stop hiding behind what's convenient and start living in alignment with who you truly are. Most people spend their lives suppressing what they really think or feel to keep peace, avoid conflict, or gain approval. They smile when they want to cry. They agree when they want to disagree. They stay silent when their soul is begging them to speak. Over time, this silence eats away at their confidence. Every moment you betray your voice, you teach yourself that what you have to say doesn't matter. You begin to live in fragments, present in the world, but disconnected from yourself. Speaking your truth doesn't mean being loud or confrontational. It means being honest, even when honesty makes you vulnerable. It's having the courage to express what's real instead of what's expected. That kind of honesty isn't always comfortable. It might make others uneasy. It might even cost you relationships. But the truth always costs less than the weight of pretending. Pretending drains your energy, dulls your spirit, and keeps you from fully experiencing life. The moment you choose to express yourself openly, you start building inner freedom. You no longer rely on others to validate your emotions. You stop editing your words to fit into someone else's version of who you should be. You realize that the right people in your life will respect your truth, even if they don't always agree with it. The wrong ones will disappear, and that's not loss, that's clarity. Many people struggle to speak their truth because they associate truth with conflict. They fear that honesty will lead to rejection, embarrassment, or disapproval. But silence doesn't prevent conflict, it simply transfers it inward. The battles you avoid with others become battles within yourself. Every unspoken truth becomes a weight you carry in your heart. The longer you hold it in, the heavier it becomes, until it turns into resentment, anxiety, or self-doubt. The only way to release that weight is to face the fear and say what needs to be said. It's natural for your voice to shake the first few times you speak up. That trembling is not weakness. It's a sign that you're doing something brave. Strength doesn't mean being fearless. It means choosing honesty even when it terrifies you. Each time you express what's real, you teach yourself that you can survive discomfort. Eventually, your voice stops shaking, not because the fear disappears, but because you've learned to speak through it. Your truth has power because it carries authenticity. When you speak from your core, without exaggeration or pretense, your words carry weight. People may not always like what you say, but they'll feel the honesty behind it. And honesty earns respect, even from those who disagree. In a world full of masks, authenticity stands out. To speak your truth effectively, you must first know it. That requires reflection. You can't express what you haven't acknowledged. Spend time understanding your beliefs, values, and emotions. Ask yourself what you really think, not what you've been told to think. What do you stand for? What feels wrong even when everyone else says it's right? The clearer you are about your truth, the more confidently you can communicate it. Sometimes, speaking your truth means admitting you don't have all the answers. It's okay to say, "I don't know, I'm learning," or "I made a mistake." Vulnerability is part of truth. You don't have to pretend to be perfect to be worthy of being heard. In fact, people connect more deeply with those who are real, not flawless. When you share openly, you give others permission to do the same. Honesty is contagious. It encourages authenticity in everyone it touches. There will be moments when speaking your truth comes with consequences. You might lose approval, face criticism, or stand alone for a while, but silence has consequences too, often much greater ones. You can recover from someone's disapproval. You can rebuild after conflict, but recovering from betraying yourself takes far longer. Each time you stay quiet to please others, you give away a piece of your identity. Over time, those pieces add up until you no longer recognize who you are. To live truthfully, you must separate honesty from aggression. Being truthful doesn't mean being harsh. It's possible to be direct without being destructive. The key is intention. Speak from clarity, not anger. Express your truth to build understanding, not to dominate. When your words come from sincerity and respect, even difficult truths can be received with openness. One of the hardest truths to speak is the one you need to tell yourself. It's easy to justify bad habits, ignore emotional wounds, or deny uncomfortable realities. But personal growth begins when you stop lying to yourself. It's when you finally say, "I'm not happy," or "I'm not trying my best," or "I need to change." That level of honesty is painful at first, but it's the gateway to transformation. You can't fix what you refuse to face. The more you practice truthfulness, the lighter you feel. You no longer waste energy pretending, managing impressions, or holding back emotions. You stop feeling like you're walking on eggshells. Life becomes simpler because your inner world matches your outer expression. There's no double life to maintain, no secret guilt to hide. That alignment between your words and your soul creates peace, a peace that only honesty can bring. Speaking your truth also builds self-respect. Every time you voice what's real, you strengthen your sense of worth. You prove to yourself that your thoughts matter, your feelings count, and your presence has meaning. That kind of self-respect changes how you carry yourself. You walk differently. You stop seeking constant validation. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You realize that your truth doesn't need to be accepted to be valid. There will always be people who misunderstand your honesty. Some will call it arrogance, rebellion, or rudeness. That's because truth disrupts comfort, and not everyone is ready to face it. Don't let that stop you. Your responsibility is not to protect others from the truth. It's to protect yourself from the damage of silence. If your intentions are pure, you owe it to yourself to speak. In moments of fear, remind yourself why truth matters. It's not just about self-expression, it's about integrity. Integrity means being whole, living without separation between what you think, say and do. When you live truthfully, you become dependable both to yourself and others. People can trust your words because they come from a place of consistency. More importantly, you can trust yourself. That trust is what creates genuine confidence, the kind that no external approval can give. Over time, truth-telling becomes natural. You stop rehearsing what to say or fearing how it will be received. You speak with clarity and calm, not because you're trying to prove anything, but because honesty has become your way of life. Your voice may have once trembled, but now it carries conviction. That's the reward for all those times you spoke, even when it scared you. The world doesn't need more people who agree to everything. It needs more people who are brave enough to be real. People who express what's right instead of what's easy. People who stand firm in their truth, even when their voice shakes. Every time you choose honesty over silence, you make the world a little stronger. Your truth is your strength. It's your identity, your boundary, your freedom. Protect it. Use it. Speak it. Even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's unpopular, because the moment you decide that your voice matters as much as anyone else's, you reclaim the power that fear tried to take from you, and that power will stay with you for life. Chapter 4. Train your mind to stay calm under pressure. When pressure rises and everything inside you wants to panic, remember, your power lies in how calm you can remain. The strongest people are not the ones who never feel stress, but the ones who can think clearly when the world seems to be falling apart. Calm is not a gift you are born with, it is a skill you train. The mind, like a muscle, learns control through repetition. Every time life tests you, it's offering a chance to strengthen that control. You can either react in chaos or respond with clarity. The choice determines whether pressure destroys you or sharpens you. When something doesn't go your way, most people immediately tense up. They raise their voice, they rush, they get caught up in the emotion of the moment. But emotion is rarely a good guide under stress. Calm people move slower, think deeper, and act wiser. They take a moment before speaking. They observe before deciding. They breathe before reacting. That small pause makes all the difference between collapse and composure. It's the pause that saves relationships, careers, and peace of mind. You train calmness the same way you train strength, through consistent practice. When you feel your heartbeat rise, don't fight it. Instead, recognize it. Notice what your body is doing. You might feel your chest tighten, your palms sweat, or your thoughts start to race. Just watch it. That awareness alone begins to calm you down. You stop feeding panic with panic. You stop letting emotions control the steering wheel. It's like standing in the eye of a storm. Everything is moving around you, but you remain still. Pressure exposes what you truly control. You don't control how others act, what they say, or what happens next. You control your reaction. That's it. But that's enough, because your reaction shapes the entire outcome. When you stay calm, you keep your options open. When you lose control, you hand your power to chaos. Many people make permanent decisions in temporary emotional storms. They walk away from opportunities. They say words they regret. They quit on themselves, all because they didn't know how to sit in discomfort without acting out. Staying calm doesn't mean you ignore problems. It means you face them with a clear head. You don't need to rush to fix everything right away. Sometimes, calmness gives you the patience to wait until the right moment. Think of all the times you solved something faster after stepping back. That space between action and reaction is where wisdom grows. When you learn to pause, you begin to see patterns. You notice what triggers you. You see where your fears and frustrations come from. Over time, you become less reactive, more aware, and more intentional. You can practice this in small ways every day. When someone cuts you off in traffic, instead of cursing, take a slow breath. When your phone rings with bad news, instead of panicking, stay still for 3 seconds before responding. When work piles up and you feel overwhelmed, focus on one task instead of 10. Calmness isn't built in silence, it's built in the middle of noise. Each time you choose stillness when you could have chosen chaos, you're rewiring your brain to stay centered under pressure. The truth is, calm people are not emotionless. They simply don't let their emotions dictate their next move. They feel everything: anger, fear, frustration, but they don't allow those emotions to lead. They use logic to guide them back to balance. A calm person can walk through conflict, loss, or uncertainty without collapsing, because they've trained their mind to return to stillness no matter the storm. That's not detachment, it's mastery. It helps to understand that most pressure is temporary. The situation that feels unbearable today will lose its power tomorrow. When you remind yourself that nothing lasts forever, you naturally stop reacting so strongly. You gain perspective. You realize that the emotion you feel right now is just passing through, like weather. You can let it come and go without losing your peace. This doesn't make life easier, but it makes you stronger. To stay calm, you must also take care of your physical state. A tired mind can't think clearly. Sleep, nutrition, and exercise directly affect how you handle stress. If your body is exhausted, even small challenges will feel overwhelming. A clear mind lives in a well-cared-for body. That's why calm people often guard their routines. They know balance doesn't happen by accident. It's built through discipline. When you train your mind to stay calm under pressure, you also start attracting respect. People trust those who stay composed. In leadership, relationships, or business, calmness communicates confidence. It tells others that you can handle responsibility, that you can make sound decisions when it matters most. Even if you don't have all the answers, your calm energy reassures everyone around you that things will be fine. That's real influence, not power over others, but control over yourself. If you find yourself struggling to remain calm, don't judge yourself. Everyone loses control sometimes. What matters is how quickly you return to balance. Learn from every moment you overreacted. Ask yourself, what triggered me? What did I fear losing? The answers will reveal what still controls you. The more aware you become, the less those triggers affect you. You begin to outgrow them, one by one, until even high-pressure moments no longer shake you like they used to. You can even train calmness through visualization. Close your eyes and imagine a stressful situation. Picture yourself handling it with complete composure, breathing steadily, speaking clearly, and thinking logically. The brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's vividly imagined. So every time you do this, you're training your nervous system to remain balanced. Over time, your body learns that calm is the new normal. Another powerful way to stay calm is to detach from the need to control everything. Many people panic because they want life to go exactly as planned, but pressure often comes from resistance, the refusal to accept what is. When you learn to accept reality as it comes, you remove half your stress instantly. You stop fighting the flow and start moving with it. You save your energy for what you can actually influence. That acceptance is not weakness, it's maturity. There will always be moments that test your patience, your strength, and your inner peace, but every test is also an opportunity. Every difficult conversation, every setback, every unexpected challenge, it's all training. Life is teaching you emotional discipline. It's preparing you for bigger responsibilities. It's shaping you into someone who can be trusted to remain grounded no matter how high the stakes. In the end, calmness is not just about feeling relaxed. It's about power. Real power. The kind of power that can't be taken away because it comes from within. When you can keep your mind steady in chaos, you become unshakable. You stop being a victim of your emotions and start being the master of them. You no longer fear pressure, you welcome it, because you know that under pressure, your true character is revealed. So, train your mind every day. Slow down your reactions. Breathe before you speak. Listen before you decide. Let silence do some of the work. Because calmness isn't a luxury, it's a necessity for anyone who wants to rise above the noise. The world rewards those who can stay steady when everyone else loses control. And once you master that, you'll never again fear the storms that come your way. You'll simply walk through them, calm, centered, and in complete command of yourself. Chapter 5. Take full responsibility for every part of your life. Everything in your life changes the moment you decide to take full responsibility for it. Not partial, not conditional, full. That single decision separates people who keep repeating the same cycles from those who rise above them. As long as you keep blaming, you stay stuck. As long as you keep waiting for someone to save you, you remain powerless. But the day you say, no matter what happened before, this is on me now, everything begins to move in your favor. Responsibility is not a burden, it's freedom. It means you are no longer waiting for life to change. You're taking control of it. Most people spend their entire lives pointing outward. They blame their parents for how they were raised, their boss for their stress, the economy for their struggles, or their partner for their unhappiness. But blame might feel satisfying for a moment, yet it never fixes anything. It keeps your focus on what you can't control instead of what you can. When you take responsibility, you stop wasting energy on excuses and start directing that energy towards solutions. You start to see that your future is not determined by your past. It's shaped by the choices you make from this moment on. Taking responsibility is not about guilt or shame. It's about power. It's saying, I might not have caused this, but I'm in charge of what happens next. You can't change where you came from, but you can decide where you're going. You can't undo what was done to you, but you can decide what you'll do with it. The moment you accept that, you stop being a victim and become the author of your life. Every area, your health, your relationships, your finances, your mindset, reflects the level of responsibility you've taken. If something isn't working, it's not bad luck or fate. It's feedback, showing you where you've handed away your power. When you take responsibility, you stop saying things like I can't, and start asking how can I? That simple shift changes everything. You begin to look for possibilities instead of problems. You stop avoiding accountability and start seeking growth. The truth is, you cannot grow without responsibility. Growth demands ownership. Every successful person, no matter the field, has one thing in common: they take full ownership of their results. When things go wrong, they don't hide behind excuses. They analyze, they adjust, and they improve. That's how progress happens. You can't control what life throws at you, but you can always control how you respond. You can decide to learn from failure instead of collapsing under it. You can decide to communicate better instead of blaming others for misunderstandings. You can decide to manage your money instead of complaining about never having enough. Every small choice you take ownership of builds strength. Over time, that strength turns into self-trust, the quiet confidence that no matter what happens, you'll handle it. Responsibility is also about being honest with yourself. It's easy to blame others when things don't work out, but honesty forces you to look at your role in every outcome. Maybe your attitude pushed people away. Maybe your procrastination delayed your progress. Maybe your fear stopped you from taking the next step. It takes humility to admit that, but that's where real growth begins. Self-honesty might sting, but it sets you free. Once you see where you went wrong, you can do better, and doing better is the foundation of all transformation. When you fully take responsibility, your language changes. You stop saying, "They did this to me," and start saying, "I allowed this." You stop saying, "Life is unfair," and start saying, "I can adapt." That change in language reflects a deeper change in mindset. You're no longer at the mercy of circumstance. You're leading yourself through it. It doesn't mean everything becomes easy, but it does mean you stop living in reaction mode. You become proactive. You plan, you prepare, and you respond intelligently instead of emotionally. This mindset also transforms your relationships. When you stop blaming others, communication becomes cleaner. You start listening instead of defending. You take responsibility for how you speak, how you show up, and how you handle conflict. You stop expecting others to fix your emotions. That shift brings peace, because you no longer rely on external validation to feel balanced. You realize your happiness is your responsibility. No one owes you peace, love, or respect. You build that by how you treat yourself and how you respond to the world. Taking full responsibility also means letting go of the past. You can't move forward if you're constantly revisiting old pain. You have to accept that some things didn't go your way, some people hurt you, and some doors closed. But instead of replaying the story, take the lesson and move on. You are responsible for your healing, not the people who hurt you. Forgiveness isn't saying what happened was okay, it's saying you won't let it control you anymore. The moment you forgive, you reclaim the energy that blame was stealing from you. To live responsibly, you must also take charge of your thoughts. Everything begins in the mind. If you constantly tell yourself that you're unlucky, unworthy, or too late, you're programming your life to match that belief. Responsibility starts with mental discipline. It's catching negative thoughts before they shape your reality. It's replacing doubt with direction. It's reminding yourself daily that your future is a reflection of your focus. You can't build a strong life with weak thoughts. You must train your mind to work for you, not against you. In the same way, you must take responsibility for your time. Every day you waste on distractions is a day you could have used to move closer to your goals. You can't say you want change while doing the same things that keep you stuck. Time is your most valuable resource, and how you use it determines how far you go. If something doesn't serve your growth, it's your job to cut it out. If something matters deeply to you, it's your job to make time for it. No one else will do it for you. True responsibility also means taking care of your emotions. Life will always have highs and lows, but how you regulate your emotions determines how you experience both. Instead of blaming people for how you feel, take ownership of your reactions. When you feel anger, ask what it's really pointing to. When you feel fear, ask what it's trying to protect. When you feel lost, ask what you've been avoiding. Emotional maturity is a sign of full responsibility. It's knowing that while you can't stop emotions from coming, you can always choose how to respond. There will be times when taking responsibility feels heavy. You might wish someone else could take the blame, that circumstances were easier, that people treated you better, but the truth is, you're not doing this for them. You're doing it for you. Every ounce of accountability you take builds independence. Every time you choose ownership over excuses, You're proving to yourself that you are capable. The more responsibility you take, the lighter you feel, because you're no longer waiting for external change to bring internal peace. You realize you are the source of everything you need. If you want to transform your life, stop saying, "I can't help it." Start saying, "I can change it." That simple shift opens doors you didn't even know existed. It gives you clarity, direction, and momentum. Taking responsibility doesn't mean you'll never fail. It means when you do, you'll get back up faster, smarter, and stronger. You'll stop repeating old mistakes because you'll finally be aware of what caused them. So, from this moment forward, decide that nothing in your life is outside your control. If you want a better future, build it. If you want better relationships, create them. If you want peace, protect it. You have the power to change any part of your life when you stop waiting for others to do it for you. Responsibility is not punishment. It's the path to freedom. It's what separates those who stay stuck from those who rise. Once you take full ownership of who you are and where you're going, nothing can stop you. Because a person who owns their life fully and unapologetically can rebuild anything, overcome anything, and achieve everything they set their mind to. Chapter 6. Keep promises you make to yourself without excuses. The strength of your character is revealed in one simple habit: whether or not you keep the promises you make to yourself. Every time you tell yourself you'll do something and follow through, you build power. Every time you make an excuse, that power slips away. Confidence doesn't come from compliments or achievements. It's born from self-trust. And self-trust is built one promise at a time. When you say you'll wake up early and you do, when you say you'll work on your goal and you stay consistent, when you say you'll stop a bad habit and truly commit, that's when belief in yourself grows unshakable. The most damaging thing you can do to your own potential is to break the commitments you make to yourself. It might seem small. Skipping a workout, delaying a task, or ignoring your goals for a day, but your mind remembers. It keeps a quiet record of every time you said tomorrow and never showed up. Over time, that record shapes how you see yourself. If you keep breaking your own word, you start to lose respect for yourself. You stop trusting your own promises. You begin to feel unmotivated because deep down you don't believe you'll follow through anyway. But when you reverse that pattern, when you begin to keep your word no matter what, something shifts. You begin to carry yourself differently. You walk with quiet certainty. You start believing again. People often think they need motivation before they can take action. In truth, discipline comes first, and motivation follows. The act of doing what you said you'd do creates the very energy you think you're missing. It builds momentum, and that momentum becomes motivation. It's not the big promises that matter most. It's the small daily ones, the moments when no one is watching, when you have every excuse to quit, but you choose to honor your word anyway. That's where character is forged. Keeping promises to yourself means developing integrity on a personal level. It's easy to show up for others because you fear letting them down, but it's far more powerful to show up for yourself because you refuse to let yourself down. It's about holding your word sacred, treating your own commitments as seriously as you'd treat a commitment to someone you deeply respect. When you make a plan, it's not just an idea, it's a contract between who you are and who you want to become. And when you keep that contract, you grow stronger, sharper, more reliable, and more confident. There will always be reasons to delay. Life will always provide distractions, obstacles, and comfort zones that whisper, "You can do it later." But growth never happens later. It happens now, in the moments when it's hardest. When you keep a promise to yourself despite resistance, you send a message to your own mind that you can be trusted even when things get tough. That's how you build inner stability. You stop being swayed by emotion, laziness, or temporary discomfort. You start becoming the kind of person who follows through no matter how you feel. The people who rise to the top of their lives aren't the ones who always feel ready. They're the ones who act despite not feeling ready. They've learned that excuses are the enemy of progress. Every time you justify inaction, you build the habit of surrendering to weakness. Every time you push through an excuse, you build the habit of discipline. It's not about perfection. You will fail sometimes. You'll make promises you don't fulfill. The key is what you do next. Do you shrug it off and move on as if it doesn't matter? Or do you hold yourself accountable, analyze what went wrong, and recommit? Growth begins the moment you take responsibility for your follow-through. When you treat your word as law, everything in your life starts to align. Your focus sharpens. Your energy becomes directed. You stop wasting time wondering if you'll do something, you just do it. The mental battle ends because the decision was already made when you made the promise. That kind of decisiveness frees up your mind to focus on progress instead of negotiation. Every broken promise creates internal conflict. Every kept promise creates internal peace. Keeping promises to yourself also reshapes how others see you. People sense consistency. They can tell when your words mean something. When you become reliable with yourself, you naturally become reliable to others. Your presence carries weight. Your words carry trust, and most importantly, you no longer chase validation because you already have it from the only person who matters, you. To make this habit strong, start with small, realistic commitments. Don't promise to change everything overnight. Start by keeping the small promises. Finish your morning routine. Complete your daily goal. Spend a few minutes improving your skill. Take that walk. Stick to your schedule. Each success becomes evidence that you can be trusted. Over time, you'll find that bigger goals no longer intimidate you because your track record proves that you can deliver. The mind believes what it experiences repeatedly, and consistency rewires it for confidence. There will be moments when temptation creeps in, when your emotions try to convince you that skipping one promise won't matter. That's the exact moment you must stand firm. The hardest part of discipline is not the action itself, it's the internal debate that precedes it. Once you act, it's easier than you imagined. But if you keep engaging with excuses, they'll always win. Discipline means ending the debate before it begins. It means you stop negotiating with weakness. One of the most powerful things about keeping your promises is how it changes your self-image. You start to see yourself as capable, consistent, and worthy of success. That image drives your behavior. You begin to show up differently. You speak with conviction because your actions back your words. Confidence is not built from external praise, it's built from knowing you do what you say. That kind of confidence can't be faked. It's quiet, steady, and unshakable. Excuses, on the other hand, may comfort you temporarily, but they cost you in the long run. Every excuse delays growth. Every justification weakens resolve. You can't become stronger while constantly defending your weaknesses. The more you protect your excuses, the more they control you. But when you stop feeding them, when you stop giving yourself permission to back out, you unlock potential you didn't know existed. Think about what would happen if, for 1 year, you kept every single promise you made to yourself. Every plan, every goal, every small habit you simply followed through. Your confidence would multiply. Your relationships would improve. Your work would transform. You'd start trusting your own word more than anyone else's. That's what it means to live with integrity. It's not about perfection or performance. It's about honoring your own standards. Keeping promises to yourself also means learning to forgive yourself when you slip. Discipline and compassion must coexist. Be firm, but not cruel. When you break a promise, acknowledge it, understand why it happened, and recommit immediately. Don't drown in guilt. Use the lesson to strengthen your awareness. True discipline is not about punishment, it's about progress. Over time, this habit becomes automatic. You won't have to force yourself to follow through. You'll do it naturally because it's who you are. The process rewires your brain for consistency, and consistency becomes your identity. You'll notice that decisions take less energy, distractions lose power, and doubt fades. You'll start moving with a sense of certainty that comes only from knowing you can rely on yourself completely. In the end, keeping promises to yourself is not just about achievement, it's about freedom. When your actions align with your words, you live without inner conflict. You stop feeling torn between who you are and who you want to be. You wake up knowing that whatever challenge comes your way, you'll handle it. That quiet certainty is priceless. It's the foundation of real confidence, lasting success, and true peace of mind. The world will always test your consistency, but the person who keeps their own promises can't be broken, because the moment you decide your word is final, your life begins to follow your command. Chapter 7. Challenge your comfort zone until it becomes your strength. Growth begins the moment you stop protecting your comfort zone. Every great transformation starts with discomfort, because comfort is the silent killer of progress. It feels safe, it feels easy, and it feels familiar, but it's also where dreams fade and potential dies. The person who never challenges their comfort zone never discovers how powerful they truly are. To grow into your highest self, you must be willing to feel the friction that comes with change. You have to be okay with uncertainty, with risk, with not having every answer, because only when you step outside what's easy do you meet the version of yourself who can handle what's difficult. Your comfort zone is not a place. It's a pattern. It's the set of habits, choices, and fears that keep you where you are. It's waking up at the same time, doing the same things, thinking the same thoughts, and calling it stability. But real stability doesn't come from staying the same. It comes from knowing you can adapt to anything. Every time you avoid discomfort, you reinforce limitation. Every time you face it, you expand your capacity. That's how growth works. You stretch yourself, it hurts, you adapt, and then that becomes your new normal. The key is to keep stretching. The mind always resists change because it's wired to protect you from what feels unfamiliar. It confuses discomfort with danger, but discomfort is not danger. It's progress in disguise. When you understand that, you stop running from it. You begin to see discomfort as a sign that you're doing something right, that you're breaking patterns, that you're building a stronger version of yourself. Growth never feels good in the moment. It's awkward, tiring, and uncertain. But on the other side of discomfort is freedom. The fear you feel before doing something new isn't a stop sign, it's a signal that you're expanding. Think about every breakthrough you've ever had. None of them came from staying comfortable. They came from the moments you took a chance, spoke up, made a change, or did something that scared you. Comfort zones shrink over time. Courage expands them. The more often you face what makes you uncomfortable, the less power fear has over you. What once made you nervous becomes natural. What once felt impossible becomes routine. That's the reward of challenge. It turns weakness into strength. Most people wait until they feel ready to act, but readiness is an illusion. You'll never feel fully ready to take a leap because your comfort zone will always try to pull you back. It whispers that it's safer to stay where you are, that you might fail, that others might judge you. But what's the cost of staying there? Regret, missed opportunities, a quiet frustration that never goes away. When you stop waiting for the perfect moment and start moving despite uncertainty, you build momentum. And momentum creates confidence far faster than waiting ever will. To challenge your comfort zone, you don't need to make huge leaps right away. Start small, but stay consistent. If social situations make you anxious, talk to one new person each day. If you fear rejection, put yourself in situations where no is possible and learn to handle it with grace. If you're afraid of failure, intentionally try something you might not succeed at, just to prove to yourself that failure isn't fatal. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Every small act of courage weakens the walls of your comfort zone. You'll notice something powerful happens when you do this. Your world gets bigger. Opportunities appear that you never saw before. You begin to trust yourself in unfamiliar situations. You stop running from challenges and start seeking them. The very things that once intimidated you become your source of confidence. That's how your comfort zone transforms into your strength, not by avoiding discomfort, but by mastering it. There will be times when you step outside your comfort zone and stumble. You'll make mistakes. You'll feel exposed, and you'll question if it's worth it. But those moments are proof that you're alive and growing. People who never fail never improve. The discomfort of failure is temporary. The pain of regret is permanent. If you can learn to see every challenge as a training ground, failure stops being a threat. It becomes feedback. Every time you fall, you gain wisdom. Every time you try again, you grow stronger. That's how resilience is built. When you push beyond comfort, your identity evolves. You stop seeing yourself as fragile or limited. You start to see yourself as capable and adaptable. You realize that courage isn't about being fearless. It's about being scared and still moving forward. That's the kind of confidence that lasts, because it's built through experience, not wishful thinking. Once you know you can survive discomfort, there's nothing left to fear. You can face anything, because you've proven to yourself that no emotion, no failure, no obstacle can destroy you. It's also important to remember that growth requires consistency. Stepping outside your comfort zone once is a start, but doing it regularly is what creates transformation. If you only challenge yourself occasionally, your comfort zone will rebuild itself. You have to make discomfort a habit. Train your mind to see challenge as necessary, not optional. Each day, do something that forces you to stretch. Over time, discomfort stops feeling like a threat. It starts feeling like progress. The people who live the most fulfilling lives are not the ones who had it easiest. They're the ones who dared to face discomfort again and again until they became comfortable with being uncomfortable. They learned that struggle sharpens character, that risk builds resilience, and that the reward for discomfort is freedom. You can't grow in a place designed to keep you the same. You must move through fear to find your strength. When you live this way, challenges stop intimidating you. You start to see them as opportunities to evolve. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you ask, "What is this teaching me?" That shift in mindset turns life into a training ground. Every difficulty becomes a lesson, every setback becomes a test, and every victory becomes evidence that your courage is paying off. Over time, this perspective rewires your brain for strength. You stop avoiding discomfort and start chasing it, knowing that every challenge is shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and more confident. Eventually, the things that once scared you won't even faze you. Public speaking, hard conversations, taking big risks, all of it becomes normal. You'll start to crave growth instead of comfort. You'll find yourself reaching higher, pushing harder, and exploring further, not because you have to, but because you want to. Growth becomes your new comfort zone. You'll realize that your limits were never real, They were just mental barriers waiting to be broken. This is how greatness is built. Not in moments of ease, but in moments of resistance. Not when everything goes smoothly, but when you choose to keep going despite fear and doubt. Every challenge you face is an invitation to grow stronger, more disciplined, more aware, and if you accept those invitations consistently, your comfort zone becomes your greatest ally. Because once you master discomfort, nothing in life can control you, not fear, not failure, not uncertainty. The world belongs to those who are willing to feel uncomfortable long enough to grow beyond their limits. If you can learn to face discomfort with calm determination, you'll stand out in a world that constantly seeks ease. You'll rise above average. You'll create a life defined not by safety, but by strength. Your comfort zone was meant to be challenged. It was never meant to be your cage. Every time you push past its borders, you claim a new level of freedom. And the more you do it, the more unstoppable you become. Chapter 8. Focus on progress every day, not perfection. Perfection is a trap that stops more people from succeeding than failure ever could. The truth is, you don't need to be perfect, you just need to make progress every single day. Perfection sounds noble, but in reality it often hides fear. The fear of not being enough, the fear of being judged, the fear of falling short, and that fear keeps people frozen. They wait for the perfect time, the perfect skill, the perfect plan, but the perfect moment never comes. Progress, on the other hand, is real. It's something you can do today, right now. Even if it's small, every step forward counts, no matter how small it looks in the beginning. You build your future through daily effort, not perfect conditions. Success doesn't happen because someone had everything figured out from the start. It happens because they kept improving. Progress is the act of showing up, doing your best, and learning from the result. It's what separates those who grow from those who stay stuck. Perfection demands that everything go right before you start. Progress asks you to start so things can go right. The difference between the two is massive. One leads to paralysis, the other builds momentum. The reason progress matters more is that it compounds. One small improvement each day may not look like much, but over time it transforms everything. If you improve just 1% a day, in a year you become 37 times better. That's the power of consistency. But most people give up before they ever reach that point because they expect perfection too soon. They try something once, it's not flawless, and they quit. Progress doesn't demand perfection, it demands persistence. You just keep moving forward, adjusting and learning as you go. It's easy to compare yourself to others and feel like you're behind. But what you see in others is often the result of years of progress you didn't witness. No one started at the top. Every expert was once a beginner who stumbled, failed, and tried again. The only difference is they didn't stop when things weren't perfect. They learned to embrace imperfection as part of the process. You can't master anything if you're afraid to look imperfect while learning it. Every mistake, every flaw, every setback is part of the progress. Perfection kills creativity. When you aim to be perfect, you stop experimenting. You stop taking risks. You become so afraid of getting it wrong that you never give yourself a chance to get it right. Progress, however, is freeing. It gives you permission to grow, to explore, to make adjustments along the way. It shifts your focus from judgment to improvement. You stop asking, "Is this perfect?" and start asking, "Is this better than yesterday?" That one question can change your entire life. Think about how children learn. They don't walk perfectly the first time they try. They fall, laugh, and get up again. But somewhere along the way, adults forget that learning looks messy. We expect smooth progress, instant results, and zero mistakes. But that's not how growth works. The people who achieve real change accept that progress is messy and uneven. Some days you'll move fast. Some days it'll feel like you're standing still. But as long as you don't quit, you're still moving forward. Progress is built through repetition, not perfection. One of the hardest lessons to learn is patience. Progress takes time, and that's what makes most people quit. We want results immediately, but success rarely shows up on our schedule. The effort you put in today may not show results tomorrow, but it's never wasted. Growth happens beneath the surface before it becomes visible. You might not see the change yet, but it's happening. Every small action adds up, even when you don't notice. That's why you must keep going, even on days when it feels pointless. Progress rewards patience. When you focus on perfection, you become your own biggest critic. You start doubting yourself, noticing every flaw, and convincing yourself you're not good enough. But when you focus on progress, you start seeing possibilities. You recognize how far you've come, not just how far you have to go. That shift in mindset gives you energy. It makes you more resilient. You stop being afraid of mistakes, because you know they're part of getting better. Instead of criticizing yourself for not being perfect, you start appreciating yourself for not giving up. Perfection creates pressure. Progress creates freedom. You don't have to get everything right, you just have to keep trying. The people who change their lives are not those who had perfect plans, but those who stayed consistent with imperfect actions. They learned, adjusted, and improved, and that's the secret. Progress builds confidence. Each time you take action, you gain evidence that you're capable. You start trusting yourself more. You realize that growth doesn't come from flawless execution, it comes from consistent effort. When you focus on progress, you also stay present. You stop being haunted by the past or paralyzed by the future. You focus on what you can do today, because today is all you can control. Each day becomes an opportunity to build momentum. Maybe today you take a small step, maybe tomorrow you take two. But the point is, you're moving. You're not waiting for the perfect day, because you understand that progress happens in the now. The more you stay focused on daily improvement, the faster your future transforms. A powerful thing happens when you let go of perfection. You start enjoying the process. You stop obsessing over outcomes and start appreciating the journey. You begin to find satisfaction in effort itself. The process of growing becomes fulfilling, not stressful. That's where true happiness comes from. Not from reaching perfection, but from knowing you're better than you were yesterday. When you fall in love with progress, you make success inevitable, because no matter how long it takes, you'll get there. If you've been waiting to start something because you're afraid it won't be perfect, start anyway. Begin messy, begin uncertain, begin unready. Perfection will come through doing, not waiting. Every step you take teaches you something new. Every mistake becomes feedback. You'll figure things out faster by acting than by overthinking. The path becomes clearer once you start walking it. Waiting for perfection is waiting forever. Progress begins the moment you take that first imperfect step. Progress also builds discipline. When you commit to improving daily, you build habits that last. You train your mind to focus on consistency instead of intensity. You realize that small daily wins are more powerful than occasional big efforts. Over time, your habits shape your identity. You become the kind of person who doesn't need motivation to act. You act because it's who you are. That's the power of progress. It doesn't just change what you do, it changes who you become. And remember this, progress isn't always visible to others. Sometimes your greatest growth happens quietly. No applause, no recognition, no immediate reward, but that's okay. You're not doing it for validation. You're doing it because you made a decision to evolve. You're doing it because you know that progress today prepares you for the opportunities tomorrow. Every bit of effort you invest now builds strength, character, and resilience that will carry you through anything. When you live by progress, perfection stops controlling you. You stop chasing an image of success and start creating your own version of it. You learn to value growth over appearance, learning over performing, and consistency over speed. The world doesn't reward perfection. It rewards persistence. The person who keeps improving eventually surpasses the one who only plans perfectly but never acts. So let go of the idea that you need to have it all together. Replace it with a mindset of growth. Ask yourself each night, did I move forward today? Did I try, learn, and improve in some way? If the answer is yes, then you are winning. Progress isn't measured by how perfect your day was. It's measured by how willing you were to keep going. At the end of the day, perfection is a finish line that doesn't exist. Progress is the road that takes you wherever you want to go. When you focus on progress every day, you stay in motion. You build momentum. You evolve. You become unstoppable. Not because you never make mistakes, but because you never stop improving. And that's what real success looks like. Consistent progress, one day at a time, until everything about your life reflects the power of your persistence. Chapter 9. Turn failures into lessons that fuel your growth. Failure is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of your education. Every setback, every disappointment, every painful mistake carries a message meant to make you stronger. The people who succeed in life aren't those who never fail. They're the ones who refuse to waste a failure. They extract meaning from it, learn from it, and let it reshape them into something better. Growth is built on reflection, not regret. You can either let a failure define you, or you can use it to refine you. That choice determines how far you'll go. When something doesn't work out, most people stop. They see failure as proof that they're not good enough. They let one defeat destroy their confidence. But failure only becomes permanent when you accept it as final. In reality, failure is feedback. It's information about what didn't work. It's life showing you where to adjust, what to strengthen, and how to approach things differently next time. The moment you stop fearing failure, you begin to unlock your full potential. Because fear limits effort, but understanding multiplies it. Every failure carries within it the seed of success, if you look closely enough. Think about every major breakthrough in history. None of them came without a trail of failed attempts. Thomas Edison tested thousands of materials before finding the right one for the light bulb. Each time he didn't see it as a failure, but as a discovery of what didn't work. That's the mindset that transforms an ordinary person into a master of growth. The difference between people who quit and people who grow is not luck or talent. It's interpretation. How you interpret your failures determines whether they destroy your spirit or build your wisdom. When something goes wrong, instead of asking why me, ask what is this teaching me? That single question changes everything. It shifts your focus from self-pity to self-improvement. Maybe your failure is showing you a weakness you need to strengthen. Maybe it's teaching you patience. Maybe it's forcing you to build character before success arrives. When you adopt this mindset, nothing in your life is wasted. Every challenge becomes a lesson. Every loss becomes a teacher. You start to realize that failure is not a punishment. It's preparation. Failure also exposes truth. It reveals your habits, your mindset, and your level of discipline. It shows where you've been cutting corners or avoiding hard truths. That can be uncomfortable, but it's necessary for growth. When you fail, you see clearly what needs to change. You stop guessing and start improving. The key is not to hide from that discomfort, but to face it directly. The moment you stop running from failure and start analyzing it, you take back control, because once you understand what went wrong, you gain the power to make it right. The reason most people fear failure is pride. They worry about how others will see them. They confuse losing with being a loser. But there's a huge difference. Losing is an event. Being a loser is an attitude. Everyone loses at something, but not everyone learns. Failure doesn't make you weak. Denying it does. When you hide from failure, you rob yourself of its greatest gift, perspective. Growth begins when you stop pretending to be perfect and start being honest about your progress. You become stronger the moment you care more about getting better than looking good. There's also a kind of freedom that comes when you fail and survive. You realize the world doesn't end. You find out that you're tougher than you thought, that resilience becomes your foundation. Once you've faced failure and gotten back up, it loses its power to scare you. You stop playing small, you take bigger risks. You stop avoiding challenges because you understand that even if you fall, you'll rise smarter and stronger. Every time you get back up, you train your mind to see failure not as a threat, but as a stepping stone. The truth is, no one grows in comfort. Comfort teaches nothing. Failure, on the other hand, teaches everything success hides. Success can make you overconfident. Failure keeps you humble. Success can make you lazy. Failure makes you resourceful. Success can make you forget the process. Failure reminds you of its value. Every strong, wise, and capable person you admire has been shaped by the lessons of failure. They didn't become unbreakable by avoiding pain. They became unbreakable by enduring it and learning from it. When you fail, the best thing you can do is take full responsibility. Don't blame others. Don't justify it. Don't run from it. Own it. Because only what you take ownership of can be improved. If you point fingers, you stay powerless. But when you accept that the outcome was a result of your choices, you also accept that you have the power to change those choices next time. Responsibility turns failure into progress. Blame turns it into repetition. Every failure you own moves you closer to mastery. Growth requires reflection. After every setback, take time to evaluate. Ask yourself what worked, what didn't, and what you'll do differently next time. Write it down if you have to. Turn your experiences into lessons you can refer to later. The act of reflection turns random pain into structured wisdom. It prevents you from making the same mistake twice. Most people go through life repeating the same errors because they never stop to think about what those failures were trying to teach them. Don't let that be you. Be the person who studies their own journey. Another truth about failure is that it builds empathy. When you've failed, you understand others better. You become more patient, more compassionate, more human. That's part of growth too. Failure connects you with reality. It reminds you that everyone struggles, everyone falls short sometimes. It humbles your ego while strengthening your character. You learn that life isn't about avoiding pain, it's about using it well. Once you've learned from your failures, you not only grow for yourself, but also become a source of guidance for others. Sometimes, failure redirects you towards something better. You might lose something you wanted, only to discover it wasn't what you needed. You might fail at one path, only to uncover a new one that fits you perfectly. Life has a way of closing doors that aren't meant for you, but if you're too focused on the failure, you miss the new opportunities that open up. The key is to keep your perspective wide enough to see beyond the disappointment. Every failure has a reason, but you can only find it if you stay open and keep moving forward. Failure also tests your persistence. Anyone can be confident when things are going well. True strength shows when things fall apart. The question is not whether you'll fail, it's whether you'll continue. Persistence is what transforms failure from an obstacle into a breakthrough. Each time you keep going despite setbacks, you reinforce your belief in yourself. You build emotional endurance. You prove to yourself that your commitment is stronger than your circumstances. That kind of confidence can't be faked or given. It's earned through struggle. The sooner you stop running from failure, the faster you grow. You begin to see failure as part of success, not separate from it. Every great achievement carries a story of mistakes, rejections, and restarts. What separates those who make it from those who don't is simple. One group learned to turn their failures into fuel. They used every misstep as energy to push harder, smarter, and wiser. They didn't see failure as a wall. They saw it as a staircase. Every fall was another step higher. If you truly want to grow, you must train yourself to see failure as a privilege. It means you had the courage to try. It means you are in the arena, not on the sidelines. People who never fail are usually the ones who never take real risks. But growth demands courage, and courage always comes with the chance of falling short. When you learn to embrace that, you stop being afraid of failure and start respecting it as a teacher. There will be moments when failure hurts deeply. It might break your confidence or shake your sense of direction. But those are the moments that reveal your strength. Pain becomes power when you use it to rebuild yourself. Every time you rise after failure, you evolve into someone wiser, sharper, and more capable than before. Eventually, you'll start seeing failure for what it really is. Not an enemy to avoid, but a companion on your journey of growth. In the end, success is simply the result of learning faster than others. The more lessons you draw from your failures, the more unstoppable you become. Because you're no longer afraid of falling, you're focused on evolving. And when your growth mindset becomes stronger than your fear of failure, you'll discover that there is nothing life can throw at you that you can't turn into strength. Every failure becomes fuel. Every loss becomes wisdom. Every setback becomes the foundation for your next victory. That's how you turn failure into the force that shapes your success. Chapter 10. Control your thoughts before they control your action. Everything begins in the mind. Before any action, before any decision, before any habit you think, your thoughts are the architects of your life, silently shaping what you believe, what you pursue, and what you avoid. The quality of your thoughts decides the quality of your actions, and the quality of your actions decides the direction of your future. If your thoughts are negative, fearful, or undisciplined, they will sabotage your progress before you even start. But when your mind is clear, focused, and strong, it becomes your greatest ally. Mastering your thoughts is not just mental strength, it's life mastery. The mind is powerful but also easily influenced. It absorbs everything around it: conversations, news, opinions, doubts, comparisons. If you don't take control of what enters your mind, it will become cluttered with noise that weakens your focus and confidence. Most people don't realize how much of their daily life is directed by unexamined thoughts. They react instead of choosing, worry instead of solving, and doubt instead of believing. The result is frustration and stagnation. But the moment you decide to manage your thoughts intentionally, everything begins to change. Your thoughts create emotions, and your emotions drive your behavior. When you allow negative thoughts to linger, they distort your perception. You start seeing problems instead of possibilities. You hesitate when you should act. You talk yourself out of opportunities before they even happen. This is how the mind controls the person instead of the person controlling the mind. The truth is, you can't always control what happens around you, but you can always control what happens within you. That's where your true power lies. When a difficult thought enters your mind, doubt, fear, frustration, you have two choices. You can feed it or you can replace it. Feeding it means replaying it, analyzing it, and allowing it to shape your emotions. Replacing it means recognizing it and choosing a better thought. It's not about pretending negativity doesn't exist. It's about not giving it control. You can acknowledge a negative thought without surrendering to it. The key is awareness. The earlier you catch an unhelpful thought, the easier it is to redirect it before it becomes an action that harms your progress. Most people live on autopilot. Their thoughts repeat the same patterns day after day, shaping the same emotions, producing the same results. If you want to change your life, you must first interrupt those patterns. Ask yourself why you think the way you do. Are your thoughts building your confidence, or are they quietly tearing it down? Are they pushing you toward your goals, or are they keeping you trapped in hesitation? Awareness is the first step to freedom. Once you see that your mind is running on old programming, you can begin to rewrite it. You can train your mind the same way you train your body, through repetition and discipline. Just as muscles grow when challenged, your mental strength grows when you consistently choose better thoughts. Start your mornings by directing your mind. Before you check your phone, decide what kind of mindset you want to bring into the day. Remind yourself of what matters most. Throughout the day, when your thoughts drift toward negativity or distraction, bring them back. The more you practice, the more automatic it becomes. Eventually, you stop being ruled by impulse and start living by intention. Emotional control begins with thought control. Anger, jealousy, anxiety, all these emotions begin as thoughts. You can't feel something deeply unless you first think it repeatedly. When you learn to stop a thought before it grows, you prevent an emotion from controlling your behavior. That's how you stay calm in situations that would normally provoke you. People who lose control in stressful moments are not weak. They're untrained. Their thoughts have been running wild for so long that their emotions respond automatically. Training your mind doesn't mean suppressing feelings. It means guiding them with awareness and discipline. When you master your thoughts, you stop being reactive. You no longer get pulled into every argument, every distraction, or every emotion. You respond instead of reacting. There's strength in that stillness. It allows you to think clearly while others panic. It allows you to stay focused when others lose direction. That's what separates leaders from followers. Mental discipline. The world may test you, but if your thoughts are anchored in clarity, nothing can easily shake you. Calmness under pressure isn't luck. It's the result of mastering your inner dialogue. You also need to guard your mental environment. What you consume shapes what you think. If you constantly expose yourself to negativity, gossip, fear-based media, or people who complain, you are feeding your mind poison. The mind mirrors its surroundings. If you surround yourself with noise, confusion, and chaos, your thoughts will reflect that. Protect your peace like it's your most valuable possession, because it is. Choose what you read, what you listen to, and who you engage with carefully. Every bit of input is shaping the architecture of your inner world. The most powerful thoughts are the ones you repeat daily. Affirmations, reflections, and mental habits build the foundation of your identity. If you tell yourself every day that you're not good enough, your actions will prove it true. If you tell yourself that you are growing, improving, and capable, your behavior will align with that belief. The brain follows direction. Give it empowering directions. Replace "I can't" with "I'm learning." Replace "It's too late" with "I'm just getting started." Every positive thought you repeat rewires your mind to look for solutions instead of limitations. Sometimes, your mind will try to trick you with old fears disguised as logic. It will whisper that you're not ready, that you might fail, that others are better. Don't believe everything you think. Your mind has been conditioned by years of repetition, and many of those thoughts are outdated. You must challenge them. Ask for evidence. If your mind says you can't do this, ask why not. Often, you'll find there's no real reason, just old programming. By questioning your thoughts, you take away their power. You stop being a prisoner of your past mindset and become the author of your new one. When you start controlling your thoughts, your life begins to align with your intentions. You stop wasting energy on worry and doubt. You begin to focus your mental power on what you can do today. Thoughts of discipline produce actions of progress. Thoughts of fear produce actions of hesitation. Everything you create begins as a thought. So if you want to build a strong life, start by building strong thoughts. Thoughts of gratitude make you peaceful. Thoughts of purpose make you driven. Thoughts of self-belief make you unstoppable. But mental control isn't about pretending to be positive all the time. It's about recognizing truth without surrendering to negativity. You can acknowledge pain without letting it consume you. You can face problems without losing perspective. That's the balance of mental strength. Seeing reality clearly while choosing your response wisely. Some days your thoughts will be harder to manage. You'll feel doubt creeping in. But those are the days that matter most, because every time you win a small battle in your mind, you build momentum for bigger ones. The more you practice self-awareness, the faster you catch yourself slipping into unhelpful thinking. You'll begin to notice patterns, certain times, environments, or triggers that bring negativity. Once you see them, you can change your reaction. You might choose to walk away, take a breath, or refocus your attention. These small moments of control accumulate over time, creating a deep sense of stability. Eventually, controlling your thoughts becomes natural. You'll move through challenges with calm confidence, knowing that no external situation has the power to disrupt your inner clarity. Your mind can be your greatest asset or your greatest obstacle. It can either pull you backward or push you forward. The choice lies in how much discipline you apply to it. Every thought you choose is a step toward the person you are becoming. That's why mental discipline is the foundation of all growth. If you control your thoughts, your emotions align. When your emotions align, your actions follow. And when your actions are consistent, your results transform. It all starts in your head. So take ownership of your inner world. Decide which thoughts deserve your attention and which ones don't. Refuse to be driven by impulsive thinking. Train your mind every day to focus on what strengthens you. Over time, you'll notice a powerful shift. You'll stop reacting to life and start directing it. You'll stop being tossed around by emotions and start guiding them with reason. You'll move from chaos to clarity, from doubt to determination. That is the essence of real power, the ability to master yourself before the world tests you. Control your thoughts before they control your actions, and you will discover a level of strength that nothing outside of you can ever break. When your mind serves you instead of sabotages you, every goal becomes reachable, and every challenge becomes conquerable. Your thoughts are the foundation of your destiny. Guard them, direct them, strengthen them, because the person who masters their mind masters their life. Chapter 11. Surround yourself with people who expect your best. The people you choose to spend time with shape the person you become. Your mindset, your habits, and even your self-belief are deeply influenced by those around you. If you surround yourself with individuals who settle, who complain, or who doubt themselves, you will feel limited, even if you don't notice it immediately. Conversely, when you consistently engage with people who expect your best, who challenge you to rise, and who refuse to accept anything less than your effort, you elevate your own standards. Growth accelerates when your environment demands excellence. The truth is that human beings are social creatures. We mirror the energy, habits, and expectations of those closest to us. If the people around you are passive, fearful, or unmotivated, their mindset leaks into yours. Subtle messages seep in through conversations, reactions, and shared routines. You may think you are independent, but your performance, confidence, and consistency are silently molded by your closest relationships. To break free from mediocrity, you must intentionally choose companions who reflect the level of commitment and discipline you aspire to embody. Being around people who expect your best isn't about ego or competition. It's about accountability. These are individuals who see your potential and refuse to let you settle for less than it. They push you to show up, to follow through, to improve. They notice when you fall short, not to criticize you but to remind you of what you are capable of. Their standards act as a mirror that reflects the best version of yourself, even when you doubt it. They demand excellence, not because they are harsh, but because they believe in your capacity to achieve it. It's also important to recognize the difference between supportive and complacent relationships. A supportive person encourages you, but does not lower expectations when you falter. Complacency may feel safe, but it erodes growth. When no one holds you accountable, when no one challenges you, you unconsciously start accepting less. Excellence requires friction. It requires voices that push against your weaknesses, highlight your blind spots, and challenge your excuses. Those voices, while uncomfortable at times, are catalysts for transformation. The people you choose also influence your emotional resilience. When you are surrounded by individuals who demand your best, you learn to handle pressure without being crushed. You become accustomed to high expectations, constructive feedback, and the discipline required to meet standards that matter. Over time, this strengthens your mental toughness. You begin to see challenges as opportunities rather than threats, because you have practiced consistently under the influence of people who refuse to accept mediocrity from you. Seek out individuals who operate at a higher level than you in key areas you wish to improve. Their habits, mindset, and expectations create a benchmark for you. By observing their consistency, their focus, and their discipline, you internalize standards that you may have thought unattainable. Growth becomes inevitable when you are constantly exposed to people who are disciplined, driven, and committed. Their example forces you to adapt, raise your standards, and step up your own performance. At the same time, recognize that you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If your closest circle tolerates excuses, laziness, or avoidance, you will unconsciously adopt those traits. On the other hand, if your circle expects your best, rewards effort, and challenges your limits, excellence becomes natural. Choosing your company is not optional. It's a strategic decision. Growth demands that you align yourself with people who raise the bar, not lower it. Expecting your best doesn't mean you are flawless. It means you are committed to effort, progress, and integrity. Surrounding yourself with those who demand this from you encourages self-discipline. It teaches you consistency. You stop rationalizing shortcuts because the standard is visible, tangible, and enforced. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to strengthen character. Every challenge, every conversation, every shared goal becomes a test of your commitment to being better. Being part of such a circle also provides feedback that is crucial for improvement. When people genuinely expect your best, they will give you honest input, unfiltered advice, and constructive criticism. You learn to accept critique without defensiveness. You start to see feedback as a tool for growth rather than an attack on your worth. That openness is what separates high achievers from the rest. They actively seek and integrate the input of those who care enough to expect more from them. Your social environment also influences your emotional energy. People who settle, complain, or are chronically negative drain your motivation. Their energy suppresses your own ambition and weakens your focus. On the contrary, people who expect your best energize you. They inspire action, create urgency, and cultivate a mindset of high performance. Their presence alone serves as a reminder of what is possible. Their influence reinforces habits that drive results, and it reduces the likelihood that you'll settle for mediocrity. It's equally important to contribute to this dynamic yourself. Surrounding yourself with high standards works best when you also hold yourself accountable. Expect excellence from yourself, even when others aren't watching. Your dedication reinforces the culture of the circle. People respond to those who demonstrate integrity, effort, and discipline. When you operate at this level consistently, you attract others with similar expectations, creating an upward spiral of growth, accountability, and success. Sometimes you must distance yourself from relationships that hinder your potential. That can be difficult, but it's necessary. Letting go of complacent influences creates space for those who challenge you. It's not about judgment, it's about alignment. Growth requires intentionality, and aligning your social environment with your goals is a strategic move. The faster you make this adjustment, the faster your growth accelerates. When you immerse yourself in people who expect your best, you develop a mindset of continuous improvement. You stop rationalizing subpar effort. You stop making excuses. You start taking pride in your commitment, consistency, and results. High expectations become the standard you hold for yourself naturally, even when no one else is around. Over time, this becomes a defining trait of your character, a refusal to settle, a demand for excellence, and a relentless pursuit of improvement. This also builds confidence. When your peers expect your best and you deliver consistently, you reinforce your own belief in your ability. You see tangible proof that you can rise to challenges, meet high standards, and achieve goals you once thought out of reach. Confidence grows not from comfort, but from repeatedly demonstrating competence and dedication under the pressure of accountability. Life is full of distractions, excuses, and easy paths. The people you spend your time with can either amplify those distractions or help you stay on course. Those who expect your best create clarity, structure, and urgency in your life. They push you to honor commitments, pursue mastery, and embrace discomfort for growth. Over time, this influence becomes internalized. The expectations of others translate into personal standards that guide your decisions, habits, and mindset automatically. Success, discipline, and growth are social as much as they are personal. Choosing your environment is a proactive strategy for transformation. Surround yourself with those who challenge you, inspire you, and refuse to accept anything less than your potential. Let them hold you accountable, motivate you, and expand your capacity. Their expectations will become the framework upon which you build your best life, and the energy, guidance, and influence of that circle will accelerate every aspect of your personal and professional growth. When your inner circle expects excellence, you begin to expect it from yourself in every area of life. You stop tolerating excuses, half-hearted effort, and comfort-driven decisions. Your mind, habits, and actions all align with higher standards. Surrounding yourself with people who demand your best isn't just about influence. It's about creating an environment that naturally cultivates the strongest, most capable, and most resilient version of yourself. In such company, growth is inevitable and your potential becomes unstoppable. Chapter 12. Take bold action even when you feel uncertain. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to act despite it. Every breakthrough, every significant achievement, every meaningful change begins with a single bold action taken while uncertainty still lingers. Waiting for perfect clarity or absolute certainty is a trap that keeps most people stagnant for a lifetime. The truth is that you will rarely feel fully ready, and the moment you try to wait for certainty is the moment opportunity passes you by. Bold action is what separates those who dream from those who accomplish. Uncertainty is natural. It's part of stepping into the unknown, exploring new possibilities, and pursuing goals that stretch beyond your current comfort. Feeling uneasy or unsure is not a sign of weakness. It's a signal that you're pushing toward growth. Bold action is born not from confidence in knowing everything, but from the willingness to move forward despite not knowing the outcome. Every time you act without full assurance, you teach yourself that progress doesn't require perfection. It requires courage. One of the most common reasons people fail to act is overthinking. They weigh every option, analyze every detail, and imagine every potential risk. While preparation has value, excessive analysis creates paralysis. Action requires movement. You may not have every answer, but you always have the ability to take a step forward. That step doesn't need to be monumental. It needs to exist. Momentum is built through consistent action, not endless planning. Boldness is choosing to act in spite of doubt, knowing that clarity often emerges only after you begin. Every decision involves some level of risk. Waiting for guarantees is waiting forever. The reality is that risk is unavoidable if you want to achieve meaningful results. Every bold action carries uncertainty, but it also carries opportunity. Those who hesitate until the path seems perfectly clear often miss out on transformative experiences. Those who move forward embrace the unknown and trust their ability to adapt. They understand that even if the outcome isn't perfect, action produces knowledge, insight, and growth that inaction never can. Fear often masquerades as caution. It tells you to wait, to be patient, to avoid mistakes. But caution without action leads to stagnation. Boldness doesn't eliminate fear, it transforms it into fuel. The first time you take decisive action despite fear, you realize that fear is not a barrier. It's a signal that you're moving in the right direction. Each subsequent bold step strengthens your confidence and diminishes the power of fear. Courage grows through repeated choice, not through absence of discomfort. Bold action also sharpens your decision-making. When you act while uncertain, you learn to trust yourself, evaluate situations in real time, and adjust your approach based on feedback. Every step taken in uncertainty teaches you more than weeks of hesitation ever could. You begin to understand that mistakes are not failures, they are lessons. Each action, whether it succeeds fully or partially, gives you data, clarity, and experience. Bold action accelerates learning, and learning accelerates growth. Indecision is expensive. Every day spent waiting for certainty costs you time, energy, and opportunity. Bold action ensures that you are moving, even when the path is unclear. It creates momentum. It demonstrates commitment to yourself, to your goals, and to the life you are building. The people who achieve greatness are not those who never doubt. They are those who refuse to let doubt dictate their choices. Action in the face of uncertainty is what builds resilience, skill, and progress. A key part of taking bold action is embracing discomfort. Uncertainty feels uncomfortable, and that discomfort signals that you are on the edge of growth. The moments that challenge you most are often the moments that shape you most. By leaning into unease rather than avoiding it, you expand your capacity for courage. You become capable of handling more, learning faster, and achieving higher than you thought possible. Discomfort is not a warning, it is a guidepost. Bold action also strengthens your confidence. Every time you take a decisive step despite uncertainty, you reinforce your belief in your own capability. You see firsthand that you can handle risk, adapt to changing circumstances, and navigate unknown territory. Confidence is built through experience, not speculation. The more you practice acting without full assurance, the more you trust yourself to succeed when facing future challenges. Experience trumps fear every time. It's important to remember that bold action doesn't mean recklessness. It's not about rushing blindly or ignoring consequences. It's about making deliberate choices, preparing to the best of your ability, and then moving forward regardless of lingering doubt. Action becomes the bridge between intention and results. Without it, ideas remain just ideas, dreams remain just dreams, and potential remains untapped. The courage to act transforms possibility into reality. Many people underestimate the power of starting imperfectly. Bold action rarely begins in ideal conditions. The first step is often messy, incomplete, or uncertain. But starting is essential. Perfection can't precede progress, but progress always follows action. Once you take that first bold step, momentum begins and clarity emerges. Action generates solutions, insight, and new opportunities that would never appear in a state of hesitation. Bold action is contagious. When you move forward despite uncertainty, you inspire others to do the same. People are drawn to those who act decisively, even without guarantees. They see courage and confidence, and it elevates the energy around them. Your actions create influence, leadership, and authority. You don't need permission to act. Action itself commands attention, respect, and results. Even if the outcome is not what you hoped, taking bold action transforms your perspective. You gain experience, strengthen your resilience, and refine your strategy. You learn what works, what doesn't, and what requires adjustment. Inaction produces only regret, but action produces learning. Each step, successful or otherwise, fuels the next step, gradually creating momentum that compounds over time. Boldness is the engine that propels growth, regardless of immediate results. When you consistently choose action over hesitation, you cultivate a mindset of courage. You stop waiting for guarantees or perfect timing. You learn to trust your judgment, your skills, and your capacity to adapt. Uncertainty becomes less intimidating because you know that action, not fear, determines outcomes. Boldness becomes a habit, and with habit comes consistency. Consistent bold action builds a life defined by growth, opportunity, and achievement. Taking bold action also aligns you with opportunity. Most opportunities are fleeting and require initiative. Those who hesitate miss them. Those who act seize them. Every successful endeavor begins with a step taken while doubt lingers. The willingness to start, to risk, and to persevere despite uncertainty attracts resources, allies, and results that would not exist otherwise. Action draws opportunity toward you in a way that inaction never will. Ultimately, uncertainty will never disappear. Life is unpredictable, and challenges are inevitable. The people who succeed are not those who wait for certainty. They are those who act decisively in its presence. They embrace risk, learn from outcomes, and continue forward. Bold action is the engine of achievement. It transforms fear into progress, hesitation into momentum, and uncertainty into opportunity. When you act courageously, even in the face of doubt, you take control of your future and create the life you were meant to live. The power of bold action lies in its immediacy. The longer you wait, the more fear grows. Every moment of hesitation strengthens doubt, while every step forward weakens it. Choosing to move, even when unsure, builds resilience, skill, and confidence simultaneously. It demonstrates to yourself that you are capable of more than you imagined. It proves that progress doesn't wait for clarity, it demands action. Take the step. Move forward. Act decisively. The unknown will never fully disappear, but your ability to handle it will grow with every bold choice. Courage is built through doing, not waiting. Momentum is generated through action, not analysis. Every time you step forward despite uncertainty, you increase your strength, expand your possibilities, and reinforce the belief that you are capable of achieving whatever you set your mind to. Bold action is not optional, it is essential. It is the foundation upon which all meaningful growth, success, and fulfillment are built. Chapter 13. Practice gratitude daily to build inner peace and power. Gratitude is not just a feeling, it's a practice that transforms the way you experience life. When you focus on what you have instead of what you lack, your perspective shifts, your mind clears, and your energy changes. Inner peace is born in the moments when you recognize the value of what already exists in your life. Gratitude is not passive, it is an active, deliberate choice to notice the small and large blessings around you. The more consistently you practice it, the more your sense of power, resilience, and clarity grows. The act of gratitude rewires the brain. When you intentionally acknowledge what you are thankful for, your mind begins to focus on abundance rather than scarcity. It shifts attention from problems to possibilities, from obstacles to opportunities. This is not about ignoring challenges or pretending life is perfect. It's about training your mind to recognize resources, support, and progress that already exist. By doing this daily, you develop a foundation of inner strength that is unshakable by external circumstances. Daily gratitude strengthens emotional resilience. Life will always present difficulties, setbacks, and stress. People who respond with frustration or negativity allow external events to dictate their mood and energy. Those who cultivate gratitude, however, maintain an internal equilibrium. They recognize that despite challenges, there are constants, relationships, personal abilities, achievements, or even small comforts that provide stability. By focusing on these constants, gratitude becomes a shield against the turbulence of life. The practice of gratitude also fuels motivation and growth. When you acknowledge progress, achievements, and the support you've received, you reinforce behaviors that create positive outcomes. Gratitude highlights patterns of success, reminding you that your actions matter. It encourages continued effort because it connects your work with tangible benefits and meaningful results. Gratitude doesn't make you passive, it energizes you to pursue even greater accomplishments. It's essential to practice gratitude deliberately, not just when life feels good. Waiting until circumstances are perfect undermines the power of this habit. Real strength comes from acknowledging what is positive, even in difficulty. This requires conscious attention, noticing what is working, appreciating effort, recognizing support, and valuing lessons learned. The discipline of gratitude trains the mind to see light amid darkness, which is the hallmark of resilience and inner peace. Writing down what you are grateful for amplifies the effect. A daily journal or even a mental note can solidify the habit. Each entry reinforces the neural pathways that support optimism, clarity, and calm. Over time, this practice trains you to notice positive elements automatically, reducing stress and negative thought patterns. Gratitude becomes a lens through which life is interpreted, allowing you to navigate challenges with greater composure and perspective. Gratitude strengthens relationships. When you express genuine appreciation toward others, it fosters trust, respect, and connection. People respond positively to acknowledgement, which builds stronger personal and professional networks. The practice of recognizing the contributions, support, and presence of others not only enhances their lives, but also reinforces your sense of belonging and influence. Power grows not through dominance, but through the ability to connect authentically and elevate others. Inner peace is inseparable from perspective. Gratitude reminds you that life is not solely about what you are missing, but about what you already possess. It reduces envy, comparison, and resentment, which are major sources of emotional disturbance. By focusing on what is present, gratitude anchors your mind in reality rather than illusion. This clarity of perspective allows for better decisions, steadier emotions, and a more centered approach to challenges. Gratitude also changes your physiological response to stress. Studies show that those who practice regular gratitude experience lower levels of cortisol, improved sleep, and higher overall well-being. The mind and body are deeply connected, and gratitude influences both. By reinforcing positive emotional states, you become more resilient to adversity, more creative in problem solving, and more consistent in pursuing goals. Your power is amplified because you operate from a calm, focused, and resourceful state. Acknowledging small victories is as important as recognizing major achievements. Gratitude is not reserved for monumental successes. It includes everyday moments, completing a task, connecting with someone meaningful, or overcoming a minor challenge. These acknowledgements compound over time, reinforcing confidence and self-efficacy. By valuing progress in all forms, gratitude builds a consistent foundation of competence and pride in your own abilities. Practicing gratitude shifts your internal dialogue. Instead of focusing on what could go wrong, you start recognizing what has gone right. Instead of obsessing over failures, you notice lessons learned and strengths gained. This mental shift prevents destructive rumination and replaces it with constructive reflection. It rewires thought patterns to support growth, optimism, and forward momentum rather than doubt, worry, and stagnation. Gratitude fosters patience and acceptance. Life rarely moves on a predictable schedule. Circumstances unfold in ways beyond your control. Gratitude allows you to see value in the process, rather than fixating solely on outcomes. Accepting what is present while appreciating its worth creates a sense of peace that fuels disciplined effort. You move through challenges with composure, maintaining focus on what you can influence, rather than being paralyzed by what you cannot. It is also a tool for cultivating humility, recognizing that success, support, and opportunities often come from external contributions. Teachers, mentors, family, colleagues remind you that no one thrives in isolation. Gratitude teaches acknowledgement and respect for these influences while reinforcing your own agency. Inner power grows when humility balances confidence, creating a mindset that is resilient, aware, and adaptable. When gratitude becomes habitual, it transforms perspective on setbacks. Challenges and failures are no longer just obstacles. They are opportunities to learn, grow, and appreciate resilience. Each difficulty becomes a chance to recognize personal strength, resourcefulness, and the support systems that aid you. This practice turns adversity into a source of power rather than a source of despair. Consistency in gratitude practice ensures it becomes part of your identity. A morning or evening ritual, even just a few minutes of intentional reflection, strengthens mental patterns that reinforce optimism, calmness, and focus. The more automatic this habit becomes, the more your natural response to life shifts toward noticing value, seeking growth, and maintaining peace, regardless of external circumstances. Gratitude is also a lens for evaluating choices. When you consider options, Recognizing what you already have can prevent impulsive decisions based on dissatisfaction or fear. It promotes discernment and intentional action. Decisions made from a grounded place of appreciation are more likely to create sustainable success and personal fulfillment. True power arises from this combination of perspective, resilience, and intentionality. Gratitude ensures that your strength is not reactive or dependent on external conditions. It creates an internal environment of stability, clarity, and focus. This inner power is what allows you to act decisively, respond calmly, and pursue excellence without being swayed by temporary challenges or setbacks. By practicing gratitude daily, you transform both your inner and outer life. Your mind becomes calmer, your energy becomes stronger, your relationships improve, and your capacity for action increases. You learn to see abundance, to value progress, and to trust in the process of growth. Gratitude is the anchor that grounds you, the lens that clarifies your path, and the fuel that powers your journey toward peace, strength, and sustained achievement. Ultimately, the act of gratitude is a choice, a conscious decision to focus on what strengthens, uplifts, and empowers you. The more consistently you practice it, the more it shapes your character, your mindset, and your life. Inner peace and power are not granted, they are cultivated. Daily gratitude is the foundation upon which both are built, enabling you to navigate life with clarity, resilience, and unwavering focus on what truly matters. Chapter 14. Master your body language to project quiet confidence. Confidence is communicated long before a word is spoken. The way you hold yourself, move through space, and interact with others sends a message far more powerful than any statement. Mastering your body language is not about performing or pretending. It is about aligning your physical presence with the strength, composure, and clarity that already exist within you. Every gesture, posture, and expression communicates intention, authority, and confidence to the world. Learning to control and refine these signals allows you to project quiet power without saying a word. Posture is the foundation of confident body language. Standing tall, with your shoulders back and chest open, communicates self-assurance and readiness. Slouching, crossing your arms defensively, or hunching subtly signals doubt or discomfort. By consciously adopting an upright, balanced posture, you immediately alter how others perceive you, and, equally important, how you feel internally. The body and mind are interconnected. A strong stance generates a stronger sense of self. Your presence becomes noticeable without effort. Eye contact is another critical element of projecting confidence. Meeting someone's gaze shows engagement, honesty, and attentiveness. Avoiding eye contact signals hesitation, insecurity, or distraction. Maintaining steady but natural eye contact allows you to convey credibility and assertiveness. It communicates that you are present, attentive, and unafraid to connect. Confidence grows in moments when you can hold your attention and focus on others without shrinking away or seeking approval. Facial expressions are equally important. A relaxed, neutral, or slight smile communicates approachability and control. Tension in the jaw, frowning, or forced expressions communicate stress or discomfort, even if your words are confident. Practicing calm, intentional facial expressions allows you to convey assurance naturally. When your facial language matches your internal state, people instinctively trust and respect your presence. Gestures and hand movements reinforce what you communicate verbally. Purposeful gestures that align with your words emphasize clarity and commitment. Uncontrolled fidgeting, excessive touching of the face, or repetitive motions can signal anxiety or uncertainty. Learning to manage your gestures ensures that your actions reinforce your message instead of undermining it. Smooth, deliberate movements convey control, focus, and composure. The way you occupy space also communicates power. Confident individuals take up space naturally, without being aggressive. This means avoiding shrinking into corners, leaning excessively, or withdrawing physically in interactions. Your physical presence should mirror the confidence within, creating an aura of calm authority. By positioning yourself deliberately, you demonstrate that you are comfortable, grounded, and in command of the environment. Voice tone and pacing complement body language. Speaking too softly or too quickly can undermine your physical presence, while a steady, deliberate tone projects self-assurance. The rhythm of speech, when combined with aligned body language, reinforces credibility. People trust those who speak with clarity, maintain composure, and demonstrate command over both words and presence. Mastery of vocal cues magnifies the impact of confident posture and gestures. Breathing plays a subtle but vital role in projecting confidence. Shallow, rapid breathing signals tension and unease. Deep, controlled breaths calm the nervous system and allow for a relaxed, grounded presence. Breathing intentionally also supports vocal strength and clarity, helping you communicate with authority and calm. When you control your breath, you control both your internal state and your external presence. Practicing presence is essential. Confidence is not just about appearance, it's about awareness. Being fully present in each interaction allows you to project authenticity. People sense when attention is scattered or distracted, which weakens perceived confidence. By training yourself to remain mindful of posture, gestures, and engagement, your quiet confidence becomes palpable. Presence and composure naturally draw respect and attention. Micro-expressions and subtle movements communicate volumes. Slight shifts in posture, nodding at key moments, or controlled hand movements can reinforce messages and convey engagement. Conversely, unconscious movements such as tapping, shrugging, or fidgeting dilute perceived authority. Awareness of these small physical cues enables you to project steadiness, reliability, and competence consistently. The alignment of internal belief and external presentation is critical. Body language should not be a mask. It should reflect the inner state of assurance you cultivate through self-discipline and preparation. Confidence projected through posture, gestures, and presence is reinforced when your actions and decisions demonstrate competence and integrity. This congruence between internal mastery and outward expression amplifies your credibility and influence. Non-verbal cues also influence how others interpret leadership and authority. Confident body language inspires trust and signals capability. When you project composure and assurance through posture, gaze, and movement, others are more likely to follow, respect, and respond positively. People naturally defer to those who embody quiet power through both action and presence. Leadership begins with the ability to convey certainty without aggression. Self-awareness is the key to mastering body language. Observing yourself in mirrors, recordings, or feedback sessions allows you to identify areas of weakness and refine your presence. Repetition and practice create habits that make confident posture, gestures, and expressions automatic. Over time, these behaviors become second nature, allowing you to project calm authority effortlessly in any situation. Confidence also grows when you control your reactions. Remaining composed in tense or high-pressure situations communicates resilience. Controlled breathing, measured movements, and steady gaze during stress signal mastery and calmness. The ability to maintain your physical presence under pressure reassures others, strengthens influence, and reinforces self-trust. Confidence is not just how you act in comfort, it is how you move when challenged. Every detail matters, from the way you enter a room to how you stand while speaking. Small adjustments create a cumulative effect. Straightening your posture, slowing deliberate movements, maintaining eye contact, and adopting a relaxed facial expression collectively create a strong impression. Consistent application of these habits projects an aura of quiet authority that others instinctively recognize and respect. Even in silence, body language communicates. A relaxed stance, attentive gaze, and composed gestures convey engagement, patience, and authority. You do not need to speak to demonstrate competence. Mastery of presence ensures that even when words are minimal, your confidence is unmistakable. This silent projection of power often carries more weight than verbal assertion. Finally, practice and repetition are crucial. Confidence is not learned overnight, but through consistent awareness and refinement. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to observe, adjust, and improve your presence. Over time, projecting quiet confidence becomes natural, effortless, and integrated into your identity. Your body becomes an extension of your inner strength, silently reinforcing your self-assurance in every encounter. Mastering body language is a commitment to alignment between inner strength and external expression. It allows you to influence, inspire, and command respect without raising your voice. Every movement, posture, and gesture becomes a statement of quiet power. By cultivating awareness, control, and presence, you create an image that mirrors the discipline, composure, and confidence within. True influence begins not with words, but with the confident energy you carry in every space you occupy. Chapter 15. Stay consistent when others give up and quit. Success favors those who persist when everyone else stops. Consistency is the invisible force that separates temporary effort from lasting achievement. While others quit at the first sign of struggle, frustration, or slow progress, those who remain steadfast continue moving toward their goals, quietly building momentum that compounds over time. The discipline to show up, execute, and maintain effort when circumstances are difficult is what turns ordinary individuals into extraordinary achievers. Life will constantly test your patience and commitment. Projects stall, results lag, and obstacles arise unexpectedly. In those moments, the temptation to give up is strongest. Most people respond by walking away, rationalizing failure, or seeking comfort elsewhere. Consistency is the choice to act in spite of uncertainty and frustration. It's the understanding that mastery and progress are not instantaneous, but the product of repeated, deliberate effort over time. Staying consistent requires a clear vision of your goals and a deep understanding of why they matter. When motivation fluctuates, your purpose acts as a stabilizing force. A vivid, personal reason for pursuing your objective reminds you why persistence is worth the struggle. It's easier to maintain action when your efforts are connected to meaningful outcomes, and that connection fuels the energy needed to continue when external support fades. Consistency is built on habits. Daily routines, repeated actions, and disciplined rituals create a framework that reduces reliance on fluctuating motivation. When showing up becomes automatic, the effort required diminishes. Habits act as the engine of persistence. They ensure that you continue progressing even on days when enthusiasm is low or circumstances feel challenging. Mastery is rarely the result of occasional brilliance. It is the product of steady, reliable effort repeated without fail. Momentum compounds. Each day of consistent action adds to the previous one, creating results that would be impossible to achieve with sporadic effort. While others are losing ground, quitting at signs of discomfort, your persistent actions accumulate into significant advantages. Small, repeated efforts may feel inconsequential in the moment, but over weeks, months, and years, they produce results far beyond initial expectations. The power of consistency lies in this accumulation. Obstacles are inevitable. Projects stall, setbacks occur, and doubt creeps in. When others quit, it is often because they allow these difficulties to dominate their mindset. Consistency requires a refusal to surrender to temporary frustrations. It is the choice to keep moving despite challenges, to adjust strategies without abandoning the mission, and to maintain effort when results seem distant. Perseverance in the face of adversity is a defining characteristic of success. Consistency also strengthens character. The act of staying committed when others leave exposes your discipline, resilience, and self-trust. You learn to rely on your own standards rather than external validation or fleeting motivation. This self-reliance builds confidence and autonomy, creating a foundation for even greater achievements. Each day you persist reinforces your identity as someone who completes what they start, no matter how difficult the path becomes. Patience is an inseparable companion of consistency. Progress is rarely linear, and results often take longer than expected. Impatience leads many to quit prematurely, mistaking the natural rhythm of growth for failure. Those who remain consistent understand that success is the sum of small, deliberate actions performed reliably over time. Patience allows you to weather delays and setbacks while continuing to produce effort that compounds into significant results. Accountability is essential to sustaining consistency. When you hold yourself to a high standard and refuse to accept excuses, it becomes easier to maintain effort when external support diminishes. Writing down goals, tracking progress, or sharing intentions with trusted mentors or peers reinforces commitment. Accountability structures create a framework that encourages persistence and minimizes the likelihood of quitting under pressure. Consistency builds credibility, whether in personal projects, professional endeavors, or relationships. Showing up reliably signals reliability, competence, and trustworthiness. People notice and respect those who do not waver in their commitments. While others fade away, your consistent presence and effort create influence, authority, and opportunities that are inaccessible to those who abandon their pursuits. The world rewards those who persist, often in ways that are invisible until the results manifest. Adaptability enhances the power of consistency. Sticking to your goals does not mean rigidity. Challenges often require adjustments in strategy, approach, or method. Staying consistent is about maintaining effort and commitment, not repeating actions mindlessly. Those who persist while adapting to changing circumstances develop a flexibility that enhances resilience and ensures progress continues even in dynamic conditions. The mindset of consistency transforms obstacles into feedback. Every difficulty becomes an opportunity to refine your approach, learn, and strengthen resolve. While others see roadblocks as reasons to quit, you view them as tests of endurance and lessons for improvement. Persistence ensures that even failures contribute to growth, turning every experience into a building block for eventual success. Energy management supports consistent effort. Pacing yourself, maintaining focus, and prioritizing essential actions prevent burnout. Consistency is not mindless repetition. It is intentional, sustained action guided by strategy. Recognizing when to rest, reflect, and recover allows you to maintain momentum over the long term, ensuring that you can continue producing high-quality effort day after day. Celebrating small wins reinforces consistency. Recognizing incremental progress strengthens motivation and affirms that your efforts are meaningful. Each achievement, no matter how minor, validates the habit of persistence and encourages continuation. Small victories build confidence, proving that sustained effort produces results, even when the ultimate goal is still distant. Consistency also shapes perception. Others observe your dedication, discipline, and reliability. This perception can create opportunities, alliances, and trust that are inaccessible to those who quit. Being recognized as someone who does not abandon responsibilities, projects or commitments builds a reputation that attracts support, collaboration, and influence. Your consistency becomes both an internal and external asset. Emotional discipline is required to stay consistent when others quit. Frustration, doubt, and discouragement are natural responses to challenges. Choosing to maintain effort despite these emotions separates those who achieve from those who give up. Emotional regulation ensures that temporary feelings do not dictate long-term outcomes. Persistence is the mastery of action over fleeting emotion. Consistency is a habit of focus. It requires attention to priorities, avoidance of distractions, and deliberate allocation of time and energy. Those who maintain effort while others abandon tasks understand that clarity of purpose and commitment to process outweigh immediate gratification or comfort. Focused persistence transforms ambition into tangible results. The greatest advantage of consistency is the compound effect. Day after day of dedicated effort accumulates into progress far greater than what intermittent bursts of energy can achieve. While others quit, you advance quietly but relentlessly, gaining skills, insight, and momentum that create a permanent edge. This accumulation of effort is invisible to the casual observer, but undeniable in results. Remaining consistent is a conscious decision repeated daily. It is choosing action over surrender, effort over comfort, and progress over hesitation. It requires discipline, patience, and the ability to persist when motivation wanes. Those who embrace this mindset achieve extraordinary results, not because of luck, but because they refused to quit when it mattered most. Consistency transforms potential into achievement. Each day you act when others pause. Every step you take while others retreat brings you closer to mastery, success, and fulfillment. Persistence is the ultimate multiplier of talent, intelligence, and opportunity. While most people abandon their efforts at the first sign of resistance, your commitment ensures that you are always moving forward, building the life you are capable of creating, and securing advantages that only unwavering effort can produce. Chapter 16. Forgive your past and use it to grow stronger. Your past does not define you unless you allow it to. Holding on to regret, resentment, or shame gives your former experiences control over your present and future. Forgiveness is not an act for others. It is a decision to release the weight that holds you back and reclaim your energy, clarity, and focus. True growth begins when you look at your history honestly, accept what happened, and choose to transform it into a foundation for strength rather than a source of limitation. Carrying past pain restricts your potential. Emotional baggage clouds judgment, drains energy, and shapes choices in ways that often undermine your success. Holding grudges, replaying failures, or blaming yourself or others keeps your mind occupied with events you cannot change. Forgiving the past clears space for growth, allowing your attention, creativity, and resolve to focus on what you can influence today. Liberation begins with the choice to let go. Forgiveness requires courage. It is not an easy act, because it forces you to confront uncomfortable emotions, acknowledge mistakes, and release long-held grievances. Facing these feelings head-on without avoidance is an exercise in resilience. The process transforms inner weakness into strength, teaching you that control over your emotional responses is a powerful form of mastery. You do not become passive by forgiving, you become empowered. Understanding your past objectively is essential. Reflecting on experiences without exaggeration or distortion allows you to extract lessons rather than dwell on pain. Every failure, betrayal, or mistake carries information, insights about behavior, boundaries, decision-making, and resilience. By analyzing your past events dispassionately, you convert them into tools for self-improvement rather than chains that bind you. Forgiveness also involves reframing perspective. The actions of others or the outcomes of situations are not inherently burdens. They gain weight only if you allow them to. By choosing to reinterpret your past through a lens of learning, you transform adversity into opportunity. Situations that once caused suffering can become guides, showing patterns to avoid, skills to strengthen, or attitudes to cultivate. Growth emerges from understanding, not avoidance. Releasing resentment does not erase memory, it releases control. You will remember events, but they no longer dictate your mood, decisions, or confidence. Forgiving yourself for mistakes is equally crucial. Self-condemnation erodes your self-esteem, undermines initiative, and reinforces fear of failure. Acceptance and forgiveness restore personal agency, creating a foundation of internal stability from which you can act decisively and grow without fear of repeating past errors. Forgiveness opens mental and emotional capacity. When energy is no longer consumed by anger, regret, or guilt, it is available for constructive pursuits. You can think more clearly, respond more effectively, and pursue goals with focus. Emotional freedom allows creativity, problem-solving, and productivity to flourish. Growth requires attention and energy, and forgiveness restores both in abundance. The past also provides perspective on resilience. Each challenge you have survived proves your ability to endure, adapt, and recover. Reflecting on hardships without bitterness allows you to recognize patterns of strength that may have gone unnoticed. Every setback you overcame, every difficulty you faced, is evidence of your capacity to handle future obstacles. Forgiveness allows you to acknowledge these strengths rather than obscure them with negative emotion. Forgiving does not mean condoning harmful behavior or excusing mistakes. It is an internal process that neutralizes emotional power while maintaining awareness. You can recognize wrongs, establish boundaries, and take lessons from experiences without being enslaved by anger. This distinction is vital. True forgiveness empowers you to act from clarity and reason rather than reacting out of unresolved emotion. Consistency in applying forgiveness is necessary. It is often not a single act, but a continual practice. Memories, triggers, or reminders may provoke old feelings. Each time you consciously choose understanding, detachment, and acceptance, you strengthen your control over the past. Habitual forgiveness builds resilience, deepens emotional intelligence, and reinforces your capacity to handle complex interpersonal and personal challenges. Your past becomes a source of strength when you integrate lessons into action. Mistakes teach decision-making, failures highlight resilience, betrayals reveal discernment. By applying these lessons to current choices, you convert previous setbacks into advantages. Each day becomes an opportunity to leverage experience rather than be hindered by it. Knowledge drawn from the past transforms vulnerability into skill and uncertainty into preparedness. Forgiveness also nurtures empathy and emotional maturity. Understanding your own flaws and challenges fosters compassion toward others. You recognize that mistakes and hurt are part of the human experience. This awareness improves relationships, reduces unnecessary conflict, and enhances communication. Emotional maturity gained from forgiveness enhances your personal and professional life, giving you strength that comes from insight rather than domination. Forgiving yourself and others strengthens focus. Attention no longer splinters across resentment or regret, but concentrates on meaningful pursuits. Goals, relationships, and personal growth can be pursued without distraction. This mental clarity supports disciplined action, effective problem-solving, and consistent progress. Energy devoted to past grudges or guilt is energy unavailable for achievement. Reclaim it through forgiveness. Acceptance of the past also fuels confidence. When you acknowledge previous failures and mistakes and forgive their influence over you, you gain trust in your ability to navigate life. Experience becomes a reference point for competence. Each challenge previously faced becomes evidence that you are equipped to handle future uncertainty with poise and skill. Strength grows not from perfection but from surviving, learning, and moving forward. Forgiveness transforms vulnerability into courage. Letting go of past hurts exposes you emotionally, but this exposure allows authentic engagement with the world. You act with clarity, take risks, and pursue goals without the constant shadow of fear or regret. Courage emerges when you refuse to be limited by old wounds and instead use them as guidance for wiser, more deliberate action. The process of forgiveness is liberating. Emotional liberation creates psychological freedom, allowing you to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. By releasing attachment to past pain, you operate from a position of authority over yourself. You dictate your emotional state and actions rather than being manipulated by memory or resentment. Strength is amplified when freedom from the past allows focus on growth and achievement. Your past is a teacher, not a prison. Every hardship, disappointment, and mistake contains lessons for improvement. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks these lessons, enabling transformation. Each step toward letting go enhances clarity, resilience, and emotional strength. By choosing to forgive, you reclaim energy, reclaim control, and create a future shaped by conscious action rather than old limitations. Growth emerges from integration. Forgiveness combined with reflection and action turns history into a resource. It strengthens decision-making, refines judgment, and cultivates patience. Your experiences, once a source of pain, become tools for strategic improvement. Every challenge from your past becomes a stepping stone for confidence, composure, and strength. Ultimately, forgiveness is a commitment to yourself. It is the conscious choice to stop allowing past events to dictate your present or future. By embracing this practice, you reclaim your power, cultivate resilience, and build a foundation for sustainable growth. The past, once forgiven, ceases to be a burden and becomes a source of wisdom, courage, and opportunity. Strength is born from letting go, learning, and moving forward with intention and clarity. Chapter 17. Develop habits that make confidence automatic every day. Confidence is not a trait you are born with. It is a skill built through deliberate, consistent habits. Every choice you make, every action you take, and every thought you nurture either strengthens your sense of self-assurance or diminishes it. Developing habits that make confidence automatic is about creating a foundation where belief in yourself becomes a natural part of who you are, rather than a fleeting emotion dependent on external validation or circumstance. The first step is to design routines that reinforce personal mastery. Consistency in small, meaningful actions creates a steady accumulation of competence. Each morning, begin with deliberate practices that anchor your mind and body in preparation for the day. This could include physical movement to energize the body, mental exercises to focus attention, or reflection to reaffirm goals and values. When these actions become habitual, they prime your mind to approach challenges with assurance, even before obstacles arise. Your environment plays a critical role in shaping confidence. Surround yourself with stimuli that reinforce your capabilities and aspirations. This includes organizing your workspace, curating content that inspires growth, and associating with individuals whose presence encourages positivity and accountability. Habits of attention, what you focus on regularly, condition your perception of your abilities. The more your environment supports growth, the more naturally confidence emerges. Language shapes identity. The words you choose, both internally and externally, reinforce either self-doubt or self-assurance. Habitually speaking and thinking in affirmative, precise and purposeful terms creates a self-reinforcing feedback loop of confidence. Replace uncertain phrases with statements grounded in preparation and action. By consistently using language that reflects belief in your ability, your mind internalizes competence and confidence becomes second nature. Action, rather than thought alone, solidifies self-assurance. Daily engagement in meaningful tasks, even when they feel small or routine, reinforces capability. Confidence is reinforced through repeated proof of competence. Each time you take initiative, complete a goal, or tackle a challenge without hesitation, you strengthen neural pathways associated with self-trust. Habits that prioritize consistent action ensure that confidence is not contingent on external praise or immediate success. Reflection amplifies the power of habits. Ending each day with a deliberate review of accomplishments, learning points, and areas for improvement reinforces growth and self-awareness. By habitually recognizing progress and extracting lessons from setbacks, you cultivate a mindset that embraces competence and resilience. Reflection transforms experiences into structured reinforcement of confidence, rather than allowing uncertainty to erode self-assurance. Physical posture and movement reinforce mental habits. Maintaining upright posture, purposeful gestures, and steady pacing communicates assurance to yourself and others. Repetition of these physical habits strengthens the internalized sense of capability. Walking with intention, practicing calm and controlled gestures, and aligning your presence with your objectives becomes a daily practice that solidifies confidence on a subconscious level. Risk-taking is a habit that accelerates confidence development. By deliberately engaging in controlled challenges, you expose yourself to situations where courage is required. Each successful navigation of discomfort reinforces self-belief. Habits of measured risk-taking teach adaptability, resilience, and decisiveness, ensuring that confidence grows in real-world contexts rather than remaining theoretical or situational. Preparation and planning are foundational habits. Confidence is strengthened when you consistently equip yourself with knowledge, tools, and strategies to handle anticipated scenarios. Establish routines for learning, skill development, and scenario planning. By habitually preparing, you reduce reliance on luck or external support, internalizing a sense of readiness that naturally projects assurance. Gratitude and recognition of accomplishments bolster habitual confidence. Daily acknowledgement of your efforts and achievements reinforces self-trust and competence, whether through journaling, reflection, or mental note. The practice of valuing progress, even incremental, creates a continuous positive feedback loop. By habitually appreciating your own capability, self-assurance becomes an ingrained part of your mindset. Discipline in facing discomfort enhances habitual confidence. Regularly confronting tasks or situations that provoke anxiety strengthens tolerance and adaptability. By repeatedly choosing action over avoidance, you build an automatic response of courage. Habits that incorporate controlled exposure to challenges create a mental framework where confidence is the default reaction rather than hesitation or fear. Visualization supports consistent self-assurance. Habitually imagining successful outcomes and competent performance primes the mind for real-world execution. This mental rehearsal strengthens the alignment between intention and action, reinforcing belief in your ability. When visualization becomes part of a daily routine, confidence is accessed effortlessly, even in high-pressure situations. Accountability practices ensure habits remain consistent. Sharing goals, tracking progress, and reviewing performance with a trusted framework encourages continuity. Habits solidified under accountability reinforce persistence and reliability, both of which contribute to internal confidence. Knowing that effort is observed and measured enhances commitment to consistent action, embedding assurance into daily life. Curiosity and continual learning are habits that nurture confidence. Regularly acquiring knowledge, testing new skills, and exploring unfamiliar domains reinforces the belief that challenges are manageable. Each new skill learned, each problem solved, and each insight gained reinforces a foundation of competence that becomes automatic. Confidence grows from demonstrated ability, and the habit of learning sustains that growth. Self-care practices amplify habitual confidence. Adequate sleep, balanced nutrition, and physical activity sustain mental clarity, emotional stability, and energy levels. By consistently prioritizing self-care, you maintain the physical and psychological resources necessary for reliable performance. Habits that protect and enhance your well-being ensure that confidence is not eroded by fatigue, stress, or neglect. Reflection on past successes strengthens automatic confidence. Habitually reviewing previous achievements reminds you of capability and resilience. Recording victories and revisiting them during challenging moments reinforces self-trust. When reflecting becomes a structured habit, you access past evidence of competence to fortify present actions without hesitation. Intentional focus enhances habitual confidence. Daily practices that train attention, whether through meditation, goal setting, or mindful awareness, reduce distraction and mental clutter. By habitually concentrating on priorities, you act from clarity rather than confusion, reinforcing competence and self-assurance in every decision and action. Persistence in completing tasks, regardless of difficulty, reinforces automatic confidence. Habits that require finishing what you start train reliability and self-efficacy. Each completed task, no matter how minor, reinforces the expectation that you are capable and consistent. Confidence becomes ingrained when actions reliably match intention, and this alignment is cultivated through disciplined habit. Finally, integrating all these habits transforms confidence from a temporary emotion into a default mode of operation. When mental preparation, deliberate action, reflection, physical presence, risk-taking, learning, and self-care are practiced consistently, assurance is no longer dependent on circumstance. It becomes an internalized state, automatically activated in every interaction, decision, and challenge. By developing these habits, confidence evolves from an effortful pursuit into an intrinsic part of your daily existence, ensuring that belief in yourself is steady, unwavering, and self-sustaining. Chapter 18. Learn to say no without feeling guilt or fear. Saying no is one of the most powerful acts of self-respect and personal mastery you can practice. Every time you allow fear, guilt, or the desire to please others to dictate your choices, you give away control of your time, energy, and priorities. Learning to say no without hesitation or remorse is not about rejecting people. It is about affirming your own boundaries, values, and focus. True confidence emerges when you recognize that your commitments, attention, and energy are finite resources that deserve protection. Most people struggle to say no because they equate it with selfishness or rejection. This misunderstanding leads to overcommitment, stress, and diluted effort. Saying no is not an act of cruelty, it is an act of clarity and integrity. By declining what does not align with your goals or values, you ensure that your actions are intentional and that your energy is devoted to pursuits that truly matter. Each refusal is a reinforcement of self-respect, a demonstration that you prioritize substance over superficial approval. The fear of conflict often prevents people from asserting boundaries. Many avoid saying no because they worry about angering others, disappointing friends, or being judged. Overcoming this fear requires internalizing a crucial truth. Your value does not depend on universal approval. Boundaries communicate that you are responsible for your own life, that you act with intention, and that your focus is on meaningful outcomes rather than pleasing everyone. Respect for yourself naturally demands that you assert limits without apology. Start by clarifying your priorities. When you have a clear understanding of your goals, responsibilities, and personal values, saying no becomes easier. Each request can be evaluated against these criteria. Does this align with my objectives? Does this serve my long-term vision? If the answer is no, the decision is straightforward. Clarity of purpose creates confidence in refusal, because your no is not arbitrary, it is guided by deliberate intention. Saying no also requires emotional practice. Fear and guilt often arise because of ingrained patterns of people-pleasing. These feelings are normal, but they lose power when you repeatedly act in alignment with your values. Each time you decline a request respectfully but firmly, you reinforce the habit of self-assertion. Over time, the discomfort diminishes, and asserting your boundaries becomes a natural expression of integrity rather than a source of anxiety. Language matters when refusing requests. A firm but polite no communicates authority and respect. You do not need to over-explain, apologize excessively, or justify your decision. Simple statements such as, "I'm unable to commit to this right now," or "this does not align with my priorities," are sufficient. Clear, calm, and assertive language reinforces your position without creating unnecessary tension or guilt. The tone of delivery is as important as the words themselves. Confidence is conveyed not only through content but also through demeanor. Consistency strengthens the habit of saying no. If you sometimes yield to requests and sometimes refuse, it signals indecision to yourself and others. Consistency demonstrates that your boundaries are non-negotiable and grounded in principle rather than convenience. By consistency protecting your time and energy, you cultivate self-trust and train others to respect your limits. Confidence grows when your actions align reliably with your stated boundaries. Saying no also protects your focus. Time and energy are finite, and overcommitting spreads both too thinly. Each yes given to something misaligned is a no to something of greater importance. By declining distractions, trivial obligations, or energy-draining engagements, you preserve capacity for your priorities. Strategic refusal ensures that your effort is concentrated, your progress uninterrupted, and your results more significant. It is important to separate refusal from emotion. Saying no is not an expression of anger, resentment, or disapproval. It is a neutral, rational decision based on alignment with your values and capacity. Maintaining emotional equilibrium while declining requests prevents defensive reactions from yourself or others. Calm detachment communicates certainty and reduces the likelihood of conflict or guilt. Visualization can support mastery in saying no. Imagine situations where you must refuse requests or pressure to conform. Mentally rehearse clear, polite, and assertive responses. Practicing in advance strengthens your confidence and reduces anxiety when confronted with real scenarios. The mind becomes familiar with the act of refusal, transforming it from a source of stress into a tool for empowered action. Saying no builds respect and credibility. People notice when you act intentionally rather than reactively. Boundaries demonstrate discipline, focus, and self-awareness. Others are more likely to trust your decisions, and take your commitments seriously when you consistently protect your priorities. Respect grows both inwardly, as you affirm your values, and outwardly, as others witness your self-mastery. Balance is essential. Saying no does not mean rejecting all opportunities. Discerning evaluation allows you to embrace what truly serves your growth while declining what does not. Confidence emerges from the clarity to choose selectively rather than the compulsion to accept every request. Each deliberate yes carries weight and significance because it is chosen, not imposed by obligation. Reflection reinforces the habit. After each refusal, review the experience and acknowledge your assertiveness. Notice any lingering guilt or discomfort, and remind yourself that boundary setting is a form of empowerment. Repetition of reflection and action strengthens self-assurance and reduces the emotional friction associated with saying no. Over time, the act becomes natural, instinctive, and automatic. Developing this skill also improves decision-making. As you practice saying no, you learn to evaluate requests quickly and accurately. Discernment becomes habitual. You no longer react impulsively to pressure, but assess alignment with objectives, capacity, and values. This precision in judgment enhances efficiency, focus, and long-term success, while preventing unnecessary stress or diversion. Saying no fosters personal growth and autonomy. By refusing distractions or obligations misaligned with your goals, you retain control over your life trajectory. Every refusal reinforces self-determination, teaching that your choices are deliberate and guided by purpose rather than external influence. Autonomy strengthens confidence because it is built on consistent demonstration of agency and integrity. Self-respect is inseparable from the ability to refuse. Allowing your time, energy, or attention to be consumed without consideration erodes self-trust. Each no affirms that you value your resources and honor your commitments. This habitual reinforcement of boundaries cultivates a durable, internalized sense of confidence that does not rely on validation or consent from others. Overcoming fear in saying no transforms your mindset. Initial hesitation or worry about repercussions diminishes with repetition and success. Each confident refusal reinforces belief in your capacity to act in alignment with your values, strengthening resilience and self-assurance. Fear is neutralized not by avoidance but by deliberate, repeated practice in real-life contexts. Ultimately, saying no without guilt or fear is a declaration of control over your own life. It signals that you are accountable for your time, energy, and focus. By practicing this skill consistently, you cultivate freedom, strengthen confidence, and create space for meaningful growth. Each refusal becomes a step toward mastery, where your actions are guided by principle, clarity, and unwavering self-respect rather than obligation, fear, or external pressure. Chapter 19. Lead yourself first, before trying to lead anyone else. Leadership begins with mastery over yourself. You cannot guide, influence, or inspire others effectively if you have not first developed discipline, clarity, and integrity within your own life. Leading yourself is about understanding your strengths, acknowledging your weaknesses, and committing to daily practices that align actions with values. The capacity to direct your own choices, maintain focus, and consistently act with purpose is the foundation upon which all effective leadership is built. Self-leadership requires honesty. It demands that you evaluate your life objectively, recognizing where you excel and where improvement is needed. Avoiding self-deception or rationalization is critical. By confronting your own inconsistencies and areas of weakness, you create a baseline from which growth becomes intentional rather than accidental. Leadership over others is unsustainable if it is not preceded by accountability and mastery over your own decisions, behaviors, and emotions. Discipline is the backbone of self-leadership. It is the commitment to take consistent action toward meaningful goals, regardless of motivation, fatigue, or external distractions. Every day presents choices between effort and avoidance, growth and comfort. Leading yourself means consistently choosing the path that advances your development. When your actions are guided by discipline, others naturally perceive reliability, integrity, and strength, and leadership follows as a reflection of your internal order. Clarity of purpose fuels self-directed leadership. Knowing your values, objectives, and boundaries enables you to make decisions decisively and act without hesitation. Ambiguity in your personal vision leads to inconsistency in action and mixed signals to those who might follow. By defining what matters most to you and aligning your daily actions with those priorities, you cultivate authority rooted in authenticity and focus. Self-leadership also involves emotional regulation. The ability to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively sets the standard for any environment you influence. Mastery over emotions allows you to maintain composure in stressful situations, make rational decisions, and inspire confidence in others. Emotional stability demonstrates maturity and reliability, essential qualities for anyone seeking to lead effectively. Accountability is a central principle of leading yourself. It is the willingness to accept responsibility for successes, failures, and choices without deflection. When you hold yourself accountable, you model integrity and ownership. This practice ensures that your actions remain aligned with your principles and goals, and it establishes credibility that others naturally recognize. Leadership begins with someone who can manage their own commitments before asking the same from others. Self-awareness is indispensable. Understanding your tendencies, triggers, and habitual responses equips you to anticipate challenges and adjust proactively. This awareness allows for deliberate growth, enabling you to refine skills, correct patterns, and strengthen character. A leader who cannot recognize personal limitations risks making decisions clouded by ego, bias, or impulsivity. Leading oneself first mitigates these risks and creates a foundation for effective guidance of others. Time management is a critical aspect of self-leadership. Prioritizing tasks, maintaining focus, and allocating resources intentionally ensures that effort produces meaningful results. When you demonstrate mastery over your own schedule and commitments, you model efficiency and effectiveness. People naturally follow those who act purposefully rather than reactively, reinforcing the principle that leading oneself is inseparable from leading others. Resilience develops through deliberate self-leadership. Challenges, setbacks, and obstacles test commitment and character. By facing adversity with persistence and adaptability, you strengthen confidence and problem-solving ability. Demonstrating resilience in your own life establishes credibility and inspires those around you to persist in the face of difficulty. Leadership is amplified when it emanates from demonstrated strength rather than abstract instruction. Decision-making is a skill honed through self-leadership. By consistently making deliberate choices aligned with values and long-term objectives, you cultivate decisiveness, foresight, and accountability. Indecision or inconsistency in personal life undermines influence, while clarity in choice builds trust and authority. Leading yourself effectively involves evaluating options critically, acting promptly, and learning from outcomes to refine future decisions. Self-leadership also requires intentional growth. Continuous learning, skill development, and reflection are hallmarks of someone capable of guiding others. By prioritizing personal improvement, you demonstrate that leadership is not a static position, but a practice rooted in constant evolution. Your dedication to bettering yourself sets a precedent and motivates those around you to pursue their own development. Integrity is the cornerstone of leadership that begins with self. Aligning words, actions, and principles ensures that your influence is grounded in trust and reliability. When you act with honesty, follow through on commitments, and uphold standards even when unobserved, you establish a reputation that commands respect. Others are drawn to leaders whose personal conduct exemplifies the values they advocate. Vision extends from self-leadership. By knowing who you are, what you stand for, and where you intend to go, you become a beacon of direction for yourself and others. Vision provides a framework for decisions, prioritization, and action. Those who lead without first establishing personal clarity often struggle to inspire or maintain cohesion, whereas a leader who embodies purpose guides with confidence and consistency. Self-leadership develops influence through example. People are more likely to follow behaviors demonstrated rather than instructions given. By embodying discipline, accountability, and integrity, you naturally attract respect and compliance. Leadership rooted in personal mastery is persuasive because it is credible, authentic, and replicable. Others observe your standards and are motivated to rise to meet them. Boundaries are part of leading oneself effectively. Establishing limits on time, energy, and engagement prevents overextension and maintains clarity of focus. Consistently enforcing personal boundaries signals self-respect and ensures that efforts remain directed toward meaningful objectives. Leadership is weakened when personal limits are ignored or compromised, as it erodes authority and undermines example. Adaptability is reinforced through self-leadership. By managing your own responses and strategies in dynamic circumstances, you maintain effectiveness despite uncertainty. This flexibility ensures that your influence remains constructive and credible. Those who lead without first mastering personal adaptability risk reactive, inconsistent guidance that diminishes trust. Reflection and evaluation strengthen leadership. Regularly reviewing actions, outcomes, and habits allows for course correction, reinforcement of strengths, and identification of growth areas. Habitual reflection ensures that leadership is intentional rather than reactive, rooted in self-knowledge rather than assumption. Leading oneself involves continuous refinement, which in turn enhances the ability to guide others. Ultimately, leading yourself first is about accountability, discipline, and consistent alignment with your highest values. It is the conscious decision to act with integrity, develop resilience, and cultivate competence before seeking to influence others. Authority earned through self-mastery is durable and authentic, creating a foundation for guidance that inspires confidence, respect, and commitment in those around you. By mastering your own life first, every step you take in leading others becomes purposeful, credible, and transformative. Chapter 20. Live each day with courage, clarity, and conviction. Every day presents a choice: to move through life passively or to engage with purpose, strength, and unwavering clarity. Living with courage, clarity, and conviction is not about avoiding fear or uncertainty. It is about acting decisively despite them. True fulfillment and progress are born when you commit to intentional action, guided by principles, self-awareness, and the willingness to face challenges head-on. Each decision, each moment, becomes an opportunity to demonstrate resilience, focus, and strength of character. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. Fear is inevitable. It is a signal that you are approaching growth, risk, or responsibility. To live courageously, recognize fear as a guide rather than an obstacle. Confronting discomfort, taking action despite doubt, and standing firm in your beliefs cultivates confidence that grows stronger with each intentional choice. Courage becomes habitual when you consistently challenge hesitation and choose to act in alignment with purpose. Clarity is essential for meaningful action. Without a clear understanding of your goals, values, and priorities, you risk scattering your energy and undermining your own progress. Living with clarity requires deliberate reflection, consistent evaluation of your objectives, and the discipline to focus only on what aligns with your highest priorities. By regularly assessing what truly matters and eliminating distractions, your choices become precise and impactful, and your actions resonate with intentionality. Conviction is the consistent alignment of thought, action, and belief. When you operate with conviction, your decisions reflect integrity, authenticity, and determination. It is the internal certainty that your actions are aligned with your values, regardless of external pressure or opposition. Conviction transforms ordinary action into purposeful movement and inspires respect, influence, and trust in every interaction. Developing courage, clarity, and conviction requires daily practice. Each morning offers a fresh opportunity to evaluate your intentions and commit to deliberate action. Starting the day with purposeful reflection on priorities and principles equips you to navigate challenges decisively. This practice ensures that fear does not dictate your behavior, confusion does not cloud your judgment, and external opinion does not weaken your resolve. Taking action, even imperfectly, reinforces these qualities. Waiting for perfect conditions often leads to stagnation, while decisive effort cultivates resilience and self-trust. Courage is strengthened through repeated exposure to challenging circumstances. Clarity is refined through consistent evaluation and adjustment, and conviction is reinforced when choices align with your values, regardless of outcomes. Every act of intentional engagement builds momentum, making living boldly a natural pattern. Boundaries support courageous, clear, and conviction-driven living. By establishing limits on time, energy, and focus, you protect your ability to act purposefully. Boundaries prevent distractions and overcommitment, enabling you to invest fully in what truly matters. Respecting your own limits reinforces self-trust and strengthens the foundation upon which decisive, value-aligned action is built. Resilience is intertwined with these principles. Life inevitably presents setbacks, opposition, and unpredictability. Courage allows you to confront challenges, clarity enables you to identify viable solutions, and conviction ensures that your responses remain consistent with your principles. Facing difficulties without abandoning your values builds durability and reinforces the habit of acting with integrity under pressure. Mindfulness enhances the capacity to live intentionally. By being fully present in your choices and aware of your internal state, you prevent reactive or distracted behavior. Mindfulness amplifies the distinction between instinctive reactions, driven by fear or impulse, and deliberate actions guided by purpose. This awareness ensures that every decision reinforces courage, clarity, and conviction rather than undermining them. Daily reflection strengthens these habits. Evaluating your actions, responses, and decisions allows for continuous refinement. By identifying where fear, distraction, or hesitation influenced behavior, you gain insight into patterns that require adjustment. Reflection transforms experience into actionable learning, reinforcing the internal framework necessary for living decisively and purposefully. Integrity underpins all three qualities. Consistency between values, intentions, and actions strengthens personal authority and self-respect. When choices reflect deeply held principles, courage is authentic, clarity is grounded, and conviction is unwavering. Integrity ensures that living boldly is not performative, but internally coherent, creating a foundation of trust and reliability in every domain of life. Purposeful action requires prioritization. Courage without direction can lead to reckless behavior. Clarity without commitment results in stagnation, and conviction without action is ineffective. Regularly defining objectives, setting measurable goals, and focusing energy on meaningful outcomes ensures that courage, clarity, and conviction translate into tangible progress. Intentional prioritization transforms daily efforts into cumulative growth. Accountability reinforces these qualities. Being answerable to yourself, whether through journaling, goal tracking, or deliberate evaluation, ensures consistent alignment between intention and action. Accountability allows for honest assessment of successes and failures, providing insight into how courage, clarity, and conviction are expressed in real-world choices. This practice fosters a disciplined, results-oriented mindset that sustains growth and integrity. Discipline bridges intention and action. Courage, clarity, and conviction are strengthened by the consistent practice of taking deliberate steps toward meaningful goals. Daily habits, routines, and rituals that support focus, learning, and personal growth create momentum and resilience. Discipline ensures that bold intentions are converted into concrete outcomes, reinforcing self-trust and effectiveness over time. Adaptability enhances courageous, clear, and conviction-driven living. Challenges rarely conform to expectations, and circumstances often require flexibility in approach. Courage allows you to embrace change rather than resist it. Clarity guides strategic adjustment, and conviction ensures that core values remain intact. Adaptability does not compromise principles, but strengthens the capacity to achieve meaningful outcomes in dynamic contexts. Confidence emerges naturally from this alignment. When actions consistently reflect purpose, when decisions are guided by principles, and when challenges are met with deliberate engagement, self-assurance becomes ingrained. Confidence is no longer dependent on external approval or immediate success, but is rooted in the consistent demonstration of courage, clarity, and conviction. Communication is amplified when grounded in these qualities. Clear articulation of ideas, firm boundaries, and decisive action convey authority and influence. People respond to leaders whose presence demonstrates intentionality and integrity. Courage, clarity, and conviction create a resonance that inspires trust and motivates action in others, extending personal impact beyond individual effort. Gratitude and acknowledgement reinforce intentional living. Recognizing progress, learning from challenges, and appreciating growth strengthens resilience and self-confidence. Daily reflection on achievements and lessons cultivates a positive feedback loop, reinforcing the mindset necessary to approach each day with deliberate courage, thoughtful clarity, and unwavering conviction. Ultimately, living each day with courage, clarity, and conviction transforms existence from reactive to intentional. Every decision, every action, and every moment becomes an expression of self-mastery, purpose, and integrity. By cultivating these qualities consistently, life evolves into a trajectory of meaningful impact, personal fulfillment, and enduring strength. Each day becomes a demonstration of deliberate, value-driven living, where fear is met with action, uncertainty is navigated with clarity, and choices are executed with unwavering conviction.